I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. The meeting is being recorded to aid in the preparation of the minutes. Approval of the minutes for the 9th and 14th of July.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I'm regularly moved and seconded that we accept the minutes.
I have several corrections. Sorry, on the 9th.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm still trying to think out whose voice I heard say I'll second it.
Would have been me.
Thank you very much. Okay, go ahead, Susie.
Okay, on the first page, one of the visitors was missed.
And that would be?
Karen Pottinger.
See, she didn't sign her name, and I didn't know her, so that's why I didn't put it on. What is her name?
Karen Pottinger.
Okay, no, she never signed it, so. And neither did Kent Durr. I just know that because somebody asked him during the meeting who he was. But I put him on. Okay?
On the second page, under Jim Chrisman,
Mhm.
second line, toward the end, it says, and started that he understood should be stated.
Thank you.
On page 4, time limit on visitors discussion, second line, that should be June 9th instead of 10th. The second item, time limits.
Okay?
And that same page under treasurer's report, I believe we only authorized payment for $67,390.05. Was that
yeah,
400?
something happened there. I'll get that changed.
Page 5, under new business, the second item, first line, I believe that deadline was July 30th, not July 1st. No, July 30th, it was the supervisors meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any other additions or corrections? Any more discussion? All those in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Minutes are approved. Visitors.
Supervisor Holman.
Thank you. I'd like to address the board a minute. We've got a email in here from Mr. Mellon into Helen. Came in and I took a look at that, and in lieu of all the back, I'll be getting pounded in the back at the township meeting because of this Morrison thing. I decided to show up tonight at the meeting and plead our case of it, where we're at on this. Has the board received any of those letters?
What letter?
Says regards the meeting, Dennis, Randy, and Rock. There was email to from John Mellon, Thursday, July 31st. Dennis Shadow, Randall Bailey, Mike Rash, Secretary of Penn Township.
We received anything? I haven't. I didn't see nothing in here.
No, if Karen got them, she put them there, and she would have put them on Sam's desk or somebody.
I have about 6 copies of them there. We can distribute among the people, if you will. This has been an ongoing thing since 2010. And what I've been trying to do, there's been an awful lot of tolerance on behalf of the township supervisors with granting extensions and letting this go on and go on and go on and go on. But lately, when you take the beating in the township meeting like I have, because of something that we didn't create, then I take time to speak up. question come up last month, and what I want to know is just a couple simple questions, and I'll leave it to you, as I don't get involved in what you people do. Is Mr. Morrison hooked up and allowed to be used in the sewer? Is the sewer being used? That's a question I asked the other night and got no answer. Is he tied in and using the sewer? That's just a simple yes or no.
Would you care to explain the status of it?
Sure, I'll do my best, and if you want to,
Just yes or no?
yeah, no,
No.
no,
He's not using it.
not at this moment.
Okay. That's all I need. Okay? If the system's not being used, and I'm going to say there's some mistakes made on the township side, administrative mistakes that have been that led us into some of these things, and that I don't deny. Okay, trying to correct them at the present time too. I know that the inspection was done for the hookup, and of course we never knew that was done, or we were never notified by the township, I guess, the final connection, you know, that was done on that. In the course of this, you know, there was a cease and desist order sent out to Mr. Morrison for him to cease and desist down there until he got all the necessary permits, and we worked hard towards giving him the time frame to get these permits. And so those applications come in for those permits immediately after that. Okay, now there's some discrepancies on some of them which we're trying to work out to see that it all takes place. But before there can be any permits issued down here, we need a letter from this board saying that you are satisfied 100% with this sewer line down here so that we can continue. I issue any more permits that were issued that were a little bit on our behalf. This all started when we asked for a permit just to put footers in because of cold weather. And then this thing gets heated, so I spend an awful lot of time recently going back through the history of it. And our secretary made a mistake on issuing a permit for that later on. It was supposed to be for nothing but the footers, but for the whole building. So we are in error with part of that way back. I wondered how the building got built, because I always felt that the inspections on the plumbing that was being done by Glace was a building that wasn't permitted by golly to be built, so why were the inspections done? We have some of our own fault there, I'm not denying that. I only found that out within the last 3 days, looking over all this past paperwork. That being said, all I'm asking for is a resolution to get this thing healed up and get it over with, whatever you guys gotta do. To get Mr. Morrison on the way with the sewer, get it on there, whatever you people come up with an agreement and agree with. If you're satisfied with whatever you come up with, please notify this board of supervisors that you have obtained that. There'll be no permits issued until we get them. Mr. Morrison's in without an occupancy permit. We're trying to work around that. So that's all I'm asking this board. When you come to an agreement that you're satisfied with, please notify us immediately. I can't work on speculation or guessing and no communication from one side to the other. That's all I'm asking.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Holman.
Yes,
Thank you.
that's what I'd like to hear. I have nothing else to say about it, but we're in a very precarious position on our side, not being allowed to issue anything.
Of course.
And so I'm asking for, take a hard look at some of this and try to get it resolved. I beg of you to do that.
And if you, I think you'll find I hope you'll find my answer helpful. As I am the author of that email follows up on a discussion Mr. Bailey, Mr. Chateau, and I had at my instigation, I think it's fair to say, last week to resolve the outstanding issues with the authority by virtue of the agreement between PTMA and Morrison regarding their joint agreement. I deliberately copied as a courtesy the township through Helen, because Helen has been very good in informing me the status of the permit, this occupancy permit of which you speak and of which is a concern to everybody. She has told me she cannot issue that until someone from, she doesn't Didn't tell me who, I didn't ask until the authority can review that and sign off on it. So as a courtesy to her, I copied her on it's a memorandum of understanding, if you will, between the three of us, obviously two of them representing the authority. They're technical and legal experts. And I thought it was a proper thing to do to notify the supervisors through your secretary as to what we were doing to address the issue. I hope I did not err in this. I don't think I did.
I think you have to a point, because I think the municipal authority itself should have had just as much knowledge of this letter as well as the supervisors.
Well,
Because now here we are looking at something that we have no idea at a stated meeting that we're gonna have to address tonight, and if we'd had any concerns, we could have corrected them up to this point and been ready to make a decision this evening. This may not get resolved tonight if we find problems with this.
well, it may not, but the purpose was, look, I did not mean to ignore the authority.
Well, let's put it this way, maybe it's not your fault either. I have an engineer here and I have a solicitor that could have informed us of this too. So it's not always all one person's fault.
Yeah, I thought these gentlemen would represent you in, well.
You're right, I thought they would too.
Well, I don't think.
Mr. Chairman,
We're here
I'd like to leave. I'd like to not get involved in this any further, other than I will tell Mr. Mellon and Rock.
I would have
There
one-
is, just a minute, there is some issues, Rock, Mr. Mellon, on the township side that also need to be resolved in your permit before you can get an occupancy. I urge you to follow up on them on our side. I'll share that with you.
I have, and I will share with you
Okay.
that I have been in touch with Helen regarding each and all of those permits. The only other permits that need to be issued, according to her to me, are the two regarding the barn, and she is waiting for an answer to one question from the township solicitor.
Well, that's not exactly so, Mr. Mellon.
That's
You
what
need
she
to
told
remind
me.
me one thing. Helen Kleinpeter is not the established authority in that three supervisors are.
I can only tell you what she has told me, sir.
I'm not getting in no argument with you.
No
I
argument, I'm
presented-
just telling you what she's
And
told
they
me.
asked for consideration for the board. Please,
Yeah,
Thank you
resolve.
for the information.
Thank you. Yeah, nobody's here to get. I mean, we came here, the whole point last week, amongst the three of us, I may for the moment, and if I err, they will correct me on what I'm about to tell you. And that memo, for Helen's benefit, and I thought for the township, will at least inform her that the Morrison side was working with the authority technical advisors and legal advisors to resolve any outstanding issues. According to the agreement, and what the three of us discussed last week, the agreement had the three items that the authority may require for a closeout.
Mhm.
One is a set of complete as-bills, not in any priority here. The second was discussion of a maintenance guarantee. And the third was the possibility of a dedication and of a deed of dedication for the gravity easement. That's what the three of us mentioned and discussed, and we resolved, at least amongst the three of us, as to what to present to the board tonight. I didn't think we were, and we didn't err here. Let's be realistic. I mean, that we had to work out what do we present to the board. So amongst the three of us, it was determined, and this is me speaking, you can ask your experts. It was determined, we established with Mr. Morrison, who was also on the line. I set up the conference call. And we set up an estimate and a bond, an amount of $2,500 for a maintenance for 2 years to cover any conceivable maintenance aspect of the gravity line, of your gravity line. The estimate of that worked out to about 10%. As Randy had said, it's typical with what you've asked others in the past with your policy. With respect to the as-built, the only question Randy had at this point was the aspect of the existing old easement that was granted to you, and did the old, I shouldn't say old, but it is 1995, did that easement, could there conceivably be any gap between that easement coming along Cove Road and the easement coming up along the Frisch property. And I assured him there wasn't, but I promised him I'd look into it to make sure there was not. That was the second item. And since we have provided that information, there is no gap. I believe Mr. Bailey is satisfied with our as-bills. I think we've completed that. Rock is here to talk about the bond, that second issue. He was going to get a letter of credit. He's just told me he's getting a bond. It's in preparation. There wasn't time to forward that to your attorney prior to this meeting, but that was our plan to do if it was possible. He had to deal with his bank and all that. The third item, the deed of dedication. Mr. Shadow has advised, and I personally concur with him, that the deed of dedication is not required at this time, but his recommendation is that seeing as everyone's fresh on this right now, why don't we proceed over the next several months to conclude whatever deed of dedication the authority may want at this time. So at least it's written and prepared, and we don't have to do this 3 or 4 years from now.
Okay, well, he's not, at the present moment, he's not listed as a visitor, so he's gonna be held off till later on in the meeting.
Who?
Rock, if he has anything to say about this, okay?
Oh,
We're still underneath our Penn Township supervisor.
That's fine.
Made his statement and left, so we'll just leave everything else tabled until we get about,
That's fine.
before we can address you as such,
Sure,
okay?
whatever your protocol is, yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Next visitor.
John Mellon.
I've already spoken.
Oh, who's on the agenda though?
Cindy Radel.
I'm sorry,
Aren't we gonna address the agenda people first, am I correct?
excuse me. You're right, I'm sorry. Cindy Radel? Not here? Matt Fritz?
Okay. Now we can continue.
That's fine.
Keep a little structure here. Try to keep this thing moving, okay?
Sure.
Next.
Well, I don't know. Is John spoken, or is he up, or the
Well,
the next two people are John Mellon and Rock Morrison.
I've spoken.
Okay. How would the board want to address it? Do we want to listen to them now or table till we get into? It would be probably down to the engineer's report, am I correct?
Mhm.
Wait till the engineer's report, keep on moving with the others, which ain't gonna be long anyhow, after we hear
Sure,
what the people
it's
have to
fine
say,
with us.
that way they can get out, okay?
Sure.
Let's keep on moving with the visitors.
Lamar Brous.
I have nothing right now.
Jim Chrisman.
Not at this time.
Jody Rissinger.
Not at this time.
Bob Johnson.
Come to see what happened. What, I understand that Supervisor Peters was in an accident. Any idea what the shape he's in?
Just that Sam said he heard that he was in an accident, that's all I've heard.
No.
Okay, I didn't-
Anybody else hear
I
anything?
wondered where, how he's doing. Thank you.
Bob Schaefer.
Not at this time.
And I'm sorry. My handwriting is, well, anyway, I don't know who's left here.
Mine's hard to read. Kent Durr, that's my name.
Ken.
You asked me before.
Kent Durr.
That's my name.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I don't have anything to say right now.
Okay.
Is that everybody?
Yes. I'm sorry.
Okay. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this is hard to believe, but we're on the engineer's report at the present
Oh,
moment.
wonderful. Thank you. Does everybody have a copy of my report for today's meeting, dated August 6th?
You need to sign in because you weren't signed in last week and I didn't put you in the minutes and now I had to change them.
Here we are.
Yeah. So just do it.
All right.
Okay.
Well, why don't we jump down to the Morrison Sewer Extension Project? The construction of the sewer extension project was completed on June 30th, as I think I previously reported. Mr. Mellum's firm had prepared and submitted record drawings for the project. The record drawings were submitted to our office on July 16th. Communications, this is where that little memo came into play. There was communications between Mr. Morrison, Mr. Mellum, the solicitor, and myself for closing out the project. And this is where we figured we'd probably get into the meat of it and discuss those items to to make sure the authority makes the appropriate decision in their eyes and how they want to handle this. What we did was the items remaining were the finalization of the record drawings, and what we requested was with that, after the first submission, that they add easement information on there, because we wanted to make sure that the easement information was inclusive of the sewer line extension from the manhole number 18 down to the existing treatment plant. And that information was added. I have a revised set of drawings dated August 1st from Mr. Mellon's firm depicting that information. Also, go ahead.
The system that's within our right-of-way,
Yes.
what is the approximate percentage of the total system that partakes in? Approximately.
Well, it was 9 manholes and about 950
Okay.
linear feet of sewer.
Okay, and what's the total footage of the whole operation?
That I didn't calculate.
Does anybody know that?
If you give me the plans, while you're talking, I could try to answer your question.
Yeah.
How many manholes was there?
I believe it was 9.
How many manholes are on the other side, on the upper side of the pump station?
Oh, maybe 4. Do you remember how many on your side? 1, 2, 3, 4.
And the approximate footage on that side?
Give me a second here. I don't have a scale. Let me see.
50?
Just
Here.
approximate.
Oh, I'll give you a 2. It's about 800 and, I'd say, estimate, maybe 850, 820, maybe 850,
fine.
say? Yeah, something like that.
850 is fine,
Yeah,
okay?
okay, all right. Excuse me, I erred. I was looking at a future extension, forgive me, I was looking at a future, which this plan also shows, which will be built later on. What's built now, Mr. Holman, is about 400 and, call it 450 maybe?
Okay.
All right.
How many of those 1,900 did you say?
There's
And
9
the pump line is
manholes and
approximately how many?
950 feet of.
Sorry?
950.
How many feet?
Pump line? 750 according to Mr. Morrison.
750 what?
He's about right.
Pressure line.
Yep,
Okay.
according to our profile, yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Engineer.
So what was done was that information was added. We do have a little bit of a question that we've been discussing, in that there was an easement agreement written back in 1995 with the MUMAs, and it was a 30-foot easement agreement, and that goes across, parallels Cove Road, and then goes down between the Kincora Pythian home property and what was back then the MUMA property, now it's the First property.
That was all negotiated before the properties were subdivided out.
Yeah, I
That's
believe
correct.
so.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
So the only thing that I was questioning was, and Mr. Morrison or Mr. Mellon was looking into, was the original width of Cove Road was 33 feet as a right-of-way. Now we're showing it as 60 feet. So we had a little bit of discussion, Dennis and I and Mr. Malham, about how that interplays with what's showing on the plans. Okay. So,
You don't see an issue with that then?
well, I don't know that there is an issue. I don't know if there isn't an issue. We're going to try to evaluate that at this point.
May I add?
Go ahead.
That 60-foot easement for right-of-way for Cove Road is nothing new. We were told it was 60 feet many years ago when we first did our original submission to the township on the Morrison, on the first Baker subdivision there. And surely there are enough people here who've been here long enough to, we were told it was 60 feet. I believe it is 60 feet. I have not my director of surveying has been
Well,
out.
if I'm not mistaken, that used to be a state road, am I right, Bob? And the
It's-
township took it over, and there was probably, you would probably be possibly affiliated, remember
I'm old enough to
anything?
remember that, John's right.
Yeah.
It was 33 feet when they came in with their land development plan, part of the planning commission process, yada, yada, approval. Properties like that went to 60, which is 30 foot from the center line.
Thank you. That's what I remember.
Okay.
Thanks for confirming my
I'm old.
weakening memory here, but I remember that being told that, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah, let me maybe
Go ahead.
chime in on that aspect of it while it's fresh in my mind. As recently as today, Randy and I had gone over this like right-of-way issue again, trying to make sure that, you know, there's no doubt that these facilities that the authority might end up with are
Where they should be.
within a right-of-way. There was particular concern about a manhole, like
18.
18, and I think that is resolved, if I recall. Randy's satisfied that that is within a right-of-way, not the same one, but another one that we had, the authority has.
Correct.
The problem with along Cove Road is that there's the MUMA plan and the document referred to it as a 33 feet wide right-of-way. And then the utility right-of-way apparently adjacent to that, although that isn't even clear because it seems to be described with respect to the lot line for lot 1. So it's a little hard to tell exactly where that right-of-way is. Then we have another plan going on record showing Cove at 60 feet with the right-of-way, I think, 30 feet parallel with that.
Commencing at the southern right-of-way line.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, if that is in fact
That is
where
good.
our right-of-way is for sure, then I think Randy and I concluded we're satisfied that all these facilities would be in there.
Right.
Right, because
The
that's how.
problem is, I'm not sure how these documents interact, and without going through a lot of work, research, I'd need to pull all the deeds, see how the properties were described with respect to rights-of-way or center lines and so forth. Our, at least tentative conclusion today was, rather than taking any chance that we guess wrong, we would want to get a new document that just clears it up. There's no reason not to clear it up. We're all here now, we know what we're doing and where everything is, so we would want to get a new easement document, which is a not relatively simple, a very simple thing to do. And I believe it would describe it based on the more recent plan that showed the 60 feet wide right-of-way for Cove Road. Record that way there's, in the future, if there's anything that comes up as an issue, we can go to that recent document, we can see that we resolved it, the authority's satisfied that anything we would take over is in fact within a right-of-way that we own, so. That's what we were discussing today. Now, is that etched in stone? Not necessarily, but I don't know that, and again, these weren't agreements that are in this memo. We didn't agree to anything. It was always understood the authority was going to have to resolve these various issues. All we were trying to do is isolate what we felt based on the agreement, what still needed to be done, and get some consensus among us as to what we needed to come to you with. So the plan was to come to you tonight and to hash this out. If these things don't work, then we go back and we do it some other way. I apologize that I didn't realize this was going out to anybody else. Maybe it should have gone to everybody.
Maybe I erred in informing Helen, but it was only because she was still waiting for in her words, I can only honestly tell you in her words, her words are very simple, and that the occupancy permit was awaiting someone from the authority to review it. And I can't add or embellish it any more than what she just told me. And I took it upon myself to at least let her know that there was progress here with Mr. Shadow and Mr. Bailey and the Morrison side towards that end, towards this meeting. That was if I erred, I do apologize, but it was done in the best
The
spirit.
concern I have, and I think probably the members of this board will agree with me, the lack of us having the ability to understand something before the night of the stated meeting, so we have to perform a decision-making process out of visual decision and discussion in a matter of a couple minutes, which we would like to do tonight. The wheels of government and the way the process works is very slow. It'd be nice to be able to pick it up a little bit, you know? The lack of us being informed about this, we're looking at this tonight. We may not be able to make a decision because we don't feel comfortable about it tonight. And that's not fair to you.
No,
because
but-
we can't do it in a timely manner.
But Mr. Holman, we're not requiring you to make that decision tonight. That was never part of our.
No, but we also.
I think Dennis, adding, if I
Right,
may.
wait, but we
if I
also
may,
last
I
month,
may.
acquired information that we wish to resolve this and have this completed by tonight's meeting. Am I correct? Now we're dragging this out and it's gonna get longer, okay? We wanna put this to bed. We pleaded to get it done. We asked for a 2-week notice to get the minutes and everything else in. Now here we are, waiting to the last minute, get it thrown in front of us as a board, and I feel we should have been able to make the decision tonight. And I'm not sure it's gonna happen.
Nothing I have done has delayed this. Everything I have done has tried to move things forward, to be honest and
I
straightforward.
will tell that's correct, but I am a little bit upset with my representation for not being informed about what this was. When I did send information out, asking them if there was anything I needed to know before tonight's meeting, and I did not get it.
That's not true, Henry, because I gave you a call and told you what we were going to discuss tonight.
To a point. Did you
Because
say-
it was not
Did
the-
you mention any of the details
No,
of
because
this?
I did mention to you that I needed to talk to the solicitor, and we haven't talked yet. And we were going to talk. So I didn't know where we were headed with this to give you a definitive
So here we go,
approach.
we're in another month
Yeah,
yet for these
yeah.
poor people that would like to get their system online.
Right. But there is a situation where Dennis and I think because if you read the developers agreement, it is item number E, or it's not letter E, it's not a no. Out of the developers agreement, notwithstanding any other provision of this agreement, it is understood and agreed that the authority shall not be obligated to accept dedication of the gravity sewer system, the grinder pumps, and the low-pressure sewer line to its connection point with the authority's existing easement until such time as the project generates sewage equivalent to 10 equivalent dwelling units. So we came prepared tonight, I think, to say, look, the record drawings are to the point where they can be. There's maybe an outstanding of the easement. We believe that the easement is represented, but we're not going to accept dedication because there's this point in this developer's agreement that you did not want to. You wanted to have the ability not to accept it until you had 10 EDUs connected. So backing up a little bit, we talked about having a develop, excuse me.
Well, the critical items were the as-bills.
The as-bills,
and the
which they have
the
performed,
maintenance security.
and the maintenance security, which we talked about a letter of credit in the amount of $2,500, which is about $25,000 was what the estimated cost was
Estimated cost of what?
of the improvements of the gravity sewer line.
How's that possible?
Because we took 9 manholes at about $2,700 a manhole and 950 feet of gravity 8-inch pipe at $3 a foot.
Okay.
Okay?
But that's not what I understand the cost of this whole project is worth.
But we're only going to accept the dedicated portion of this gravity sewer portion of the system. Okay?
So you're telling me that, and I think there's 5 people in this room heard it, that this was a $250,000 project. That was mentioned under oath.
It was 150.
Okay, 150. Okay, and this is over 25%. I think that's a little low.
And that's,
We're not maintaining, with Mr. Holman, your engineer just stated it exactly correctly. Our understanding is that the authority is interested in the maintenance for the gravity line in your existing easement. I think, honestly, that was fairly established, and for whatever reason, we had a common agreement with it.
well, let me make sure I understand this now. That's the only part that the authority would ultimately accept.
Right.
Is that right?
That's
If
our
dedicated.
understanding.
That was what we all
The rest
understood.
of it is a private,
Right.
essentially a private
Until-
system, and will remain that way.
Until, my understanding is until it carries in 10 EDUs,
Right.
and at that point, the authority may exercise its option to purchase and may
Okay,
not.
but that's what I'm
To
trying
take
to
it over.
isolate, the part that the authority may exercise its right to accept.
Right.
Is that this part that you were thinking when we were talking about this
Right.
would be about 25,000?
Right.
Because, I mean, that
That's what we
number-
talked about,
I don't know
all
what the number.
four of us, right. That was what we talked about from manhole, you're calling it 18,
Down to the
existing
plant.
manhole 18
Existing
To the plant,
to the plant.
right.
And that includes the plant manhole
Yes.
was already existing. But anyway, what I was getting at was, according to this developer's agreement, we do not have to accept dedication at this point. But what we wanted to do, backing up again, we wanted to get some type of written deed of dedication to the authority at some point in time when that would become feasible or accepted by the authority. It would already be done under these circumstances now that everybody understands what the conditions are.
That's right. If I could say,
Exactly.
the idea I thought was that we're not.
We're not going
I
to.
understand, we're not accepting anything.
No, we're
now.
not, but we wanted to get the
Okay,
paperwork.
But let's do the documents.
Right.
Let's have them executed and somebody hold them. So
Yes.
at such time as this board may decide to accept it, then we have it. We don't
Exactly.
have to hold somebody up then. We don't have to go back and try to figure
Right.
out where everything is. We already have it. And we
Exactly
can just
right.
then, the board can take action and say, we accept it. We know it's in our right of way. We
Right.
record the documents and we're done.
Yes.
And if it helps, part of our mutual discussion with Mr. Morrison was that this 2-year plan for the maintenance also fits into Mr. Morrison's anticipated schedule for the subdivision. There is a chance within 2 years, this system will be carrying 10 EDUs. So it ties in with at least the look forward that we can do at this point in time.
All I know is in all the construction businesses I've been in, Mr. Morrison, if you're able to put stuff in like that for that price, you ought to be able to do all the sewer work in central Pennsylvania.
There's, I don't really know what there's to go wrong there, Henry, in the.
I understand that, but it's a bond.
But it's what?
It's a bond, and
Yeah.
it's credit, letter of credit, okay? And I don't feel that I agree, there's nothing wrong with it. But everybody else, not just you, would be upheld to hold it to an honest number, and I don't feel that's an honest number.
Well, then that needs to be resolved.
And that's why, I mean, we discussed this, we discussed it amongst ourselves, and that's why we're presenting this to the authority. Because that's what we decided, but it was not agreed upon, and you only have the ability and authority to accept that.
This is a unique situation here. If there's anything going to go wrong there anyway, I'll repair it at my cost anyway. So it's not like I'm gonna go get another subcontractor Henry, or somebody got to bring stuff in, so it's a
I
unique situation.
understand, I'm just asking for honesty and
Well, if
I'll give it to you.
may I ask something? I mean, I don't know if we need to use the word honest. I trust we're all honest in this room. But we routinely get, when we do our bond estimates for municipalities, which normally is Randy will bear me out, is 110% of a job. Routinely, an acceptable figure for sewers is $35 a foot. That's usually a high number. You take $35 a foot times, what did I figure, 800 feet or 900? It's
950.
It's $28,000. So we're not, no one's being dishonest here, not to use that word, but no one's being evasive here. So I think it's a fair number.
I'm a little concerned when I heard a statement that this thing was such a financial hardship, and now I'm finding out it's so financially cheap to do. That's the problem I have a concern about, because I kept hearing hardship, 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 that's what it was taking so long for. And that's what the mandates were, you couldn't financially get it done, you couldn't get it done, get it done. Now we're hearing the other side of the story, that it's not as much as what it was, and I'm a little bit, I'm confused about them statements.
Well, I have, from my perspective, on behalf of the meetings I've been at, I don't recall Mr. Morrison ever claiming a financial hardship. There was weather hardship.
No,
There were difficulties with that.
I was at, spent all afternoon at a place explaining how financially this was to him, because he only had one EDU to hook up to.
An afternoon, are you talking that court case?
Yes.
Does that really have a place in this meeting, sir?
It does not, that's why I did not like to bring it up,
Well, you did.
okay?
Now you have. Now what do we do with it? That was settled. That was
I
resolved.
understand that, but I mean, I'm just concerned.
What possible, Mr. Holman, with all due respect to you, sir, of what possible good does that do in this meeting other than
I'm just,
perhaps rile some people's temperatures? I
okay,
ask you to withdraw that.
you wanted me to say that, that's what you made me do. And I agree.
I didn't want you to say that.
But you know exactly where I was going with all that.
No, I don't. I have no idea where you're going with this, sir. I don't interpret you.
I'm
simply here to answer.
I'll let the board make the decision, okay?
Are we $300 apart? Is that the issue we're talking?
I'll let the board make the decision. I'm not going to be talking on it, okay?
Wait, clear something up in my mind.
Mhm.
We're talking about the low, or the gravity section that runs along Cove Road right now.
Exactly.
We're not talking about the low pressure system that feeds into that gravity
That's right,
system.
that's right. Just along what's on Cove Road, just at the, on the
So
Frisch
on our
property.
Right.
And then goes along the frontage of the Concora Pythian home property down to that existing manhole to the treatment plant.
I mean, all I can tell you about, I don't know anything about the cost numbers at all. Okay, that's up to somebody else. I wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't have a clue as to what the value or cost of these things is.
We'll let the board members
Right.
follow that when we decide to make the decision.
Exactly.
Is that fair?
That is. The 10% number is what I would call a
understand that. I
reasonably
agree with that.
standard
I agree with that.
Uh,
I agree with that.
But
Normal
the-
construction practices, that is normal.
But whether the number is 25,000, 30,000, 50,000, you guys will have to resolve it.
I can only say that Randy and I concurred with our cost figures, that that's a reasonable figure.
We'll let the board decide it then,
Okay.
okay? Anything else?
No, I think we pretty much covered. We're just letter of credit or
That's all
yeah.
that's all we could see in our review of the agreement is issues that needed to be tied up to get,
right.
as I understand it, so that you could get an occupancy permit and then get physically connected.
And we're not trying to prolong the process either. We're trying to come to an agreement and solution. But again, the authority only has the ability to accept. So.
Okay.
Let me just ask this, I'll ask Randy. The discussion about the water meter versus flow meter, the need for those two, the inclusion of them, is that something that we need to be concerned about now? Or is that something that will come into play more so on the completion of the 10 EDUs?
Well, I thought the water meter was installed, was it not, Sam?
Water meter is installed.
Yes.
Are we satisfied that it's gonna be where it's at? I just think we should have the ability to understand that that's being,
It's being monitored every month.
okay. But what I'm trying to say is it where it needs to be on the water line service? Because I'm sure he's gonna have, there's no deduct meter on this.
That's
There is
why I
no-
asked about the
No,
flow
there
meter.
is no deduct meter on there. There
So
is
how
one-
do we know that
there
he's
is-
not pulling water off the other side of it to use in our sewer system?
There is one tap on the other side that goes to fill his trucks. That's the same setup that we allowed Ford
Okay?
to do down
Yep.
there. And
You're happy with that?
I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
I mean, it's something that we've done in the past, and I
No
don't,
problem. That's the only
I don't
concern I
see
had
any-
with it. I wanted to make sure that there was no other way around that, okay? That's what we've done before, I agree. Is that what you were trying to get to, Stacy?
That's what
I
I-
thought
thank
that's
you,
what
yes,
you were
yes.
worried about the deduct, you didn't
Yes.
understand that. I thought that's what you were getting at.
Yes, I was, thank you.
Anything else?
Do you want to move through the rest of the items on the?
Yep.
Okay.
Let me make
go ahead.
just one more real quick comment. If there's anything not on this list, obviously, that any board member has concerns about, that we all just overlooked in our review, my goodness, bring it up and we'll, get it on the table. This is just what we thought were
the items.
Were the items that needed to be addressed
Right.
still.
Right.
Anybody have any questions? I think it was a little last minute for us to receive them, though, don't you?
I'm gonna defer to the experts, to those
Okay.
two guys.
Okay. Next.
All right. Let's move on to the Market Street Bridge Force Main project. The Market Street Bridge Force Main project was installed. The contractor Catilius Excavating installed the force main with the inside drop connection to the existing Duncan and Borough manhole. That work was completed as of July 29th. And also Catilius, as I was telling Elmer earlier, was they fixed the connection from the Duncan side into that same existing manhole. There was that blockage that I reported, and what they had done to fix that, they that was an outside drop originally.
Who did that?
Catilius. They did both. They did.
I'm sorry, I thought you said Detroit.
No. Oh, did I?
No,
Did
you
I
didn't.
really?
No, you didn't.
No.
Oh.
That's what
I'm
I
like,
heard.
oh
That's what I heard.
gosh.
It?
I thought,
Tune
okay.
that thing a little bit.
All right. Go ahead.
Anyway, they did both. They did the authorities' connection to that manhole, and they also performed the remediation work for the Duncan and Borough drop connection.
All right, now, did they run the lateral across the road?
Yes.
It is
You're saying to the distributor?
Yes.
Yes, everything is installed. I have some inspection reports here of the July 25th and July 28th. We were not on site when they did the drop connection, so we'll still need to look at that to see that it's satisfactory, but we weren't there to review it, but we were told it was completed. So I'll just leave
Since
these.
that's a Duncannon system, I would suggest you use one of Duncannon's people to inspect that as well.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, Brian, he was tied up and, so. Okay.
Yeah, because once it goes across the bridge. Yeah.
And they tested it and everything, so, at the point without the drop connection. They cored the manhole, they just didn't get the inside drop installed, for that existing manhole.
Manhole in pretty decent shape.
When I was there and looked at it a couple times, it was hard to see. It's a really deep manhole. It looked okay from what I could see with some flashlights. It wasn't really all well lit up. Yeah.
Ford manhole?
No, I believe it's a precast.
Precast, okay.
Yeah. I got to thinking. I thought you maybe a brick manhole.
No, not Ford brick. No.
Yeah.
I just wasn't brick.
Yeah. That's what I got it, and that's why. Yeah.
If you say they're in good shape, well.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's some in down that way.
Yeah, they probably. So I'm going to leave these with you guys for you to look at for your records, and then getting on to Sunshine Hills water system. Again, I already reported on this at the last meeting on June 20th. We had gotten the construction permit from DEP. I then followed up with Mike Hess at DEP because we were eliminating the high flow pump out of the design from the building. And I told him we showed 4 pumps with 2 pumps that were to be installed with 2 spares. We're going to have, with eliminating that high service pump, we're going to just install the 4 normal booster pumps to help, make up that flow to the for firefighting protection to the Sunshine Hills community. And he had, again, said there's no problem, because I asked, do I need to resubmit some information to him, and he said no. So hopefully that doesn't become an issue, but I did go on record with talking to him, and I'll keep touching base with him. On July 23rd, FT Kitlinski was out on site. They did the geotechnical evaluation. The borings were on the site. They did one. We had located the center of the tank up on the property. Talking to them, all they needed was one boring. It's been 2 weeks since that occurred, so we should be getting the report back here any day now. When I was there, they ran into some really, it looked like they had some good overburden material that they ran into, and then they were going to go into rock. And I think they were down about 6 feet where they were thinking they were going to go into rock. So that looks very favorable for the geotechnical foundation design of the tank. Right now, we're working on the land development plan submission, which I need to get to the township for planning commission review and then to the board of supervisors. We're finalizing the permitting on the project for the general permit for the stream crossing down as we get close to Butchershoff Road. We have that little ravine with a stream that we got to cross. E&S, NPDES. I'm talking to the electrical designer, instrumentation designer on Friday, getting him up to speed where we need to get. That's going to be a separate contract because of the values of the contract. We'll have a general construction contract and we'll have an electrical contract for instrumentation and control and okay. I gave Elmer the current revision for the site plan and the booster pump. I'm leaving that with you guys so you, or excuse me.
She's one of them.
Yeah, I know. That's, and so you guys can take a look at that to make sure that you're satisfied with the modifications that were requested at the time. And we discussed that with relocating the access road to the other side of the site, now we're going to be going in above the storage tanks. So what happens during the construction phase, we're going to put the construction entrance in the middle of the site. When the fencing and the existing facilities get torn out and switched over, we'll then finalize the location of that permanent access road to the site to that where the tanks are located now. We'll have to cordon off that area to make sure no construction vehicles run over that, because if they do, the concrete trucks, the block trucks, whatever, that would have a detrimental effect on the installation of those tanks. So we want to, even when the geotechnical guys showed up, I was keeping them away from those tanks because I didn't want them to run over them as well. So anyway, so that's going to be incorporated in the contract as well. And then we have to finalize the bid documents. Okay.
Before you leave, go off of Sunshine Hill, I don't know whether you're aware that there is an abandoned septic tank on that lot up there.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's we found it whenever we were doing the four log.
Yeah.
Actually, the triaxle found it. But it's been abandoned. It's been filled. I can give you an approximate location of it.
Okay, yeah, we should know that.
I think whenever they were doing that development up there, there was like a construction trailer or an office up there in a trailer. I think that's what that was.
So, and okay, so we'll get together and
someday you get up in town, give me a call.
I will.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can give you an approximate location. I'm not going to be dead on, but I can
Right.
give you an approximate.
Well, it'd either be myself or Brian.
Okay.
So, because he might when he comes up. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. And the only thing I didn't include on here was the DeKoven property with that, because I don't know where that stands. We haven't talked about that. But I didn't know whether it was something we should talk about it. The last communication I had was with his engineer, and that was a couple months ago, and that was where
I have not heard from DEP for a week and a half. And that's...
I have that email, you copy of
You
it.
have that?
Yep.
What date was that on that he gave him?
July 24th was the day we received that, and Monday, 7/28. The word has until Monday, 7/28, to provide a target date for the abandonment.
Haven't heard a word from him since. Okay, I get a call.
No.
Hmm?
Mr. Arbaugh has extended DEP's time limit to submit a timeline for the connection documentation until Thursday, August 31st.
Yeah, since that mail, I haven't heard anything from him. So, and we haven't heard anything at all.
So did you talk to him on the phone?
Mr. Arbaugh?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did he indicate what he's gonna do if somebody doesn't comply?
This is the 24th.
He didn't say.
On the 28th.
Cease and desist.
And that has the 31st date on it.
So now he has
I
till
hope they
August.
get out
Issue
there.
a shutdown notice.
I hope they,
Said he
Put up
can
a
issue
shut-off.
him a shutdown notice. In a matter, and, the ladies that were in here for we're supposed to be in here for that, two
Dr. Stan?
chicas. That's what they wanted. They wanted to put her, a taco stand
oh,
down
that's
there.
right.
No, you didn't get that.
Well,
And you said that was extended till the 31st of August.
August 31st.
And that's what triggered my initial communication
Well, that's a
with
Sunday.
Mr. Orwell. What's he planning on doing? What's he doing?
So,
You should do an email.
Yeah,
You should do it. I got it.
we should have got communication
no.
I did.
On which,
on both.
His
phones.
email.
yeah, and that came to everybody from Sam.
Yep.
Well, I got that.
I appreciate keeping
I
us
didn't know there
in,
was anything new.
I appreciate you keeping us in the loop, Sam. I think that worked out very well.
You did,
But it's
because I
based-
forgot about the August 30th.
Yeah.
And I do want to, if you felt that was an error, it was an error on my behalf that I didn't copy the authority on our communication, so I'll take that responsibility. But we just felt that there was some things out there to be discussed that really weren't to the point where they were finalized, and we thought we would present them tonight at tonight's meeting. So,
Yeah.
okay?
Are you done?
I'm done. Do you want me to, go ahead.
This is gonna probably pertain to Randy too, as well as Mr. Morrison. A statement that was made a while ago has made me question something. I believe it was Mr. Holman had asked if the system was being used at this time.
Yes.
The statement was made, system is not being used at this time.
That was my understanding, because he doesn't have his occupancy certificate just
Right.
at this point.
Okay.
And that's what I made that base.
The wet well is not functioning, is that correct?
It's all tested and ready to go,
Yeah,
so
but
it's,
it's not being in use.
Okay, so it has not been used to this point,
He can't until he gets the CO. As I
but it
understand.
has not been used to this point.
it's been flushed out, CC.
It's been tested.
Tested to considerable amount. That's, I don't know if
So
you,
if that system has not been used, what is being used there on site?
as far as,
The toilet. There's
Any kind of disposal system?
He's got a porta potty on there.
there's a porta potty.
Is there a permit for that porta potty?
That's been a heated discussion. It was out, it was back, it's in, it's out, it's back, it's forth. I was, understood, that I needed to get permission from the Solar Authority to use the restroom facilities in the building. So, that's what I was told there the last meeting we had.
You need what?
I need permission or a connection, whatever I need, I have to have permission from the Solar Authority to use it,
To use what?
the inside restroom facilities.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the porta potty.
That was gone, it's back, it's in, it's back, now it's back again.
So there never has been a permit for it?
That's been there for, I think it was there before the permit was issued. If I have to get a permit, I'll have to go do that again. There was there years before I think the law was instituted, I'm not 100% sure of that.
Supervisors issue the permits for this, right?
Exactly.
Not us.
No, not us. This is a battle we have fought before, and I thought it had died.
Well, this is the issue that I was so upset about. We pursued it with the intentions that we were gonna try to do everything possible to get this done, to make this man hook up and be happy. And here we are struggling, trying to get everything in our rows, to make sure everything's there, to make sure everybody's gonna work out and everybody's in agreement on it. Now, when we get into
It's, if I may add, Mr. Holman,
Yes.
because when we took the permits to Helen for her to, if we fill out those permits, this is, forgive me, a good, more than a month ago. I can't remember the date right now, but I'd have to dig it up. Anyway, that was discussed with Mrs. Morrison with the CO going, with the certificate of occupancy being filled out, Helen had to wait for that to be approved. But I know that Mrs. Morrison canceled, they canceled the porta potty, and it was to be picked up, right?
Yes.
She was told by township, all right, as the CO comes into effect, you get rid of that porta potty because you're going to use the system. So the porta potty was canceled, the contract was canceled, they were going to pick it up. Did they pick it up? Mm-hmm. And then it was determined that, well, the CO can't be issued right now, so they called the porta potty back. I guess it's a complicated situation. No one's trying to evade anything, or.
I understand, and I'm trying to get this thing resolved.
So everybody is, and the
Okay,
question is, what's the
and-
next step, and who makes that decision? You know.
We'll get through the solicitor with this and see what we can't do about that later on, see.
Okay.
Okay? Anybody done with the engineer? Okay, the operators report, DMRs, I'm assuming they're in,
I've heard enough.
I was gonna wait till Dennis comes up and make sure he's happy with everything he's got, okay? This won't take long to get down through our reports here. Anybody have any questions on the reports? I haven't heard anything from the operator about anything.
He
Any
said
problems?
he said he had nothing to report.
Okay. Field representative report.
Of course, there's nothing out of you in there. Do have one there, says received a complaint of sewer gas odor at a residence on Schoolhouse Road. Claims the odor is emanating from a manhole located on Schoolhouse Road. I found no issues in that manhole. However, there is odors coming up through that whenever the new low pressure system is pumped. It pumps into that gravity system, and my thoughts are is because that stuff's laying in there, in that line so long, it's going to septic, and whenever it comes out, it sort of smells. Well, it's not sort of smell, it does smell. And it's a matter of just sealing up around that manhole. I think we should put caulking or something around it, should take care of that.
For the time being, until we get
For the
hooked
time
up, that
being.
we can put a treatment system in.
Mhm.
Right.
Right. And I did speak with Stanley Municipal regarding the
Flow into that line.
flow coming down off the line at 274 that was pointed out to us at the JOAC meeting. And Mr. Municipal says he has nothing out of the ordinary going on up there after midnight. You know, in other words, cleanups and stuff like that. So he has no idea what's going on.
So do we need to do some investigating to find out where the water's
We're probably
coming
going to have to pull lids on that. Going up there to see where it's coming in and see if it is I&I. Pull manhole lids.
You wanna go prowling some night, Don?
I don't think
After
you're.
midnight, can you make that?
I don't think you're going to have to go up there at night to see them. I think you're just going up if there's the two leaks that I found in there in that system
old time.
already are there. You're going to see them.
All right. Well, let me
And
know someday.
all right. And Mr. Chisholm and I met with Mr. Wilson down at one schoolhouse. I see that's down here. Do you want to wait and talk about it down there?
Nah, go ahead. Might as well clean
And
it up
we
now.
did find some areas, he's got perforated pipe running throughout the system down there. And he's working on that, getting that stuff taken out of there. There is no downspouts in it. And if you remember correctly, whenever he bought that, he had a problem initially probably about a month after he purchased the property. And septic backed up in his basement. And we went down there and we found out that the grinder pumps were not turned on. He was in there for a month. Where did that stuff go? And we have no idea yet. Still have no idea. There's something going on that property that I have no idea what's going on. We didn't do the inspections on it. That was a UCC inspection. I think it was one of the early UCC inspections where we only made them do the test from where they broke the line to the grinder pump as opposed to all the way back to the house. We had since corrected that problem, but that is one of the issues. I'm relatively sure of that now, that was one of the early ones was tested. Other than that, and Mr. Chisholm and I changed, we had Lanker Excavating come in and change one of the pumps on down at the lower Duncannon pump station for a seal failure.
Okay. Anything for the field representative? Master meters reports, anything out of the
No,
ordinary?
nothing out of the ordinary.
Penn Township Supervisors report. Nobody here? Okay, you're up, Dennis.
I have a couple items that I'd like to discuss in executive session, so maybe they can be held for a while, and we can deal with what we need to before that. I did, under my part of the agenda there, it talks about the grinder pump maintenance, etc. I prepared a draft of a section language to potentially include in the rates rules. It's a draft, unless there's urgency to act on this tonight. You may want to look at it. We may want to discuss a couple of aspects of it. The time period of the delinquency, for instance, before it would trigger the property owner's requirement to replace or repair or replace. I put replace in too. And I chose 2 months or more, owing 2 months or more charges. The board may want that to be shorter, maybe longer. But in any event, that's a starting point. And then just a clause that I have is saying that if it slips through the cracks somehow and the authority ends up paying the costs that should have been passed along, that you'll send an invoice, and if the bill's not paid, you'll lien the property. Because I can see the potential for, you know, these to maybe discovered after the fact, so to speak.
Any questions for Dennis on this?
Do you want to decide that?
You want to make a decision on it,
next
or
month?
do you want to think about it? We can do a JOAC meeting?
Let's think about it, do a JOAC meeting.
Okay.
If you have any thoughts in the meantime, you know, call me or email me. Or if you need me at the JOAC meeting, I'll be there. The other items I have, this Morrison thing, maybe we can attack that now, and then we can,
That's what I'm figuring.
at whatever point you want to hear from me in the executive session, maybe at the end of the meeting, whatever, we'll do it. I guess, do you want to go down through the,
Why don't you get down through that email, and express that, everything, just like
Let's-
the engineer did? And
let's
you have
do
any
it.
concerns of it, let us know.
the as-built, again, is something I can't really speak to, except to the extent that I understand we've received as-built, and that, aside from this easement issue, that we really is probably more properly under number 3. Aside from that, as I understand it from Randy, the as-bills appear to be okay.
Yes, we
We
thought that.
have no issues with that.
I just was requesting that the easements be shown just so we could have access, but if, at this point, if it's not being dedicated to the authority, I think that's something, and Dennis may or may not agree, but we could work that out in the time frame subsequent to this when we go with the deed of dedication, as well as a draft format that can be accepted, you know, at a later date, when you would get the necessary
All
flow
the
through the
paperwork
system.
will be done, all, it's just a matter of technicality of voting for it.
That's right. That's right.
Now, as I understand it, the plans, the as-bills do show
Yes,
this
sir.
easement being, it shows a 60-foot right-of-way for Cove Road.
Always has.
And then it shows the 30 feet wide sewer easement
Always has.
along that, okay.
Always has, and we've had
But that plan, those plans, they're not recorded in the courthouse, are they?
they've been recorded. Certainly, our subdivision plans carry that. They were
And
recorded.
they have the same thing on them?
And to the best of my knowledge, Dennis, there was no, I never saw a plan. Now, I'm no, I mean, I can't,
Well, the move-off plan does show it 33 feet.
the Moomaw plan that I have didn't show that easement. It referred to it by text.
Right.
Only by text, but it did not show it on a plan. So the plans that we've had recorded through your township, well, at least 10, 12 years ago, yes, they've all recorded that.
I mean, the plans show it the way we believe it to be, and the way it would
It
need
is.
to be for us
Our
to.
surveying confirms it. It's
Okay.
where it should be. It's where it should be.
So I'm okay, I mean, with the as-bills, aside from getting this deed of dedication thing fixed up, so to speak, or confirmed. The maintenance bonding, again, is just, I mean, I think the board, we need to decide what is the value the authority believes to be reasonable for the project scope of the project that you would, the facilities you would end up accepting, presumably someday, and get that number out there, whether that's 25,000, 30,000, 50,000, whatever it is. I think it just needs to be resolved. I don't know that the cost of the security would be dramatic. I mean, we're not talking about big numbers here, whether it's a $2,500 letter of credit or a $5,000 letter of credit. I'm not by that suggesting it'd be higher, but I think it's something we ought to be able to resolve. It's not.
And it's for a 2-year period.
It's a 2-year period
Two-year
that's provided by.
The bond was put in
the
at
agreement.
$2,500 last week, but if we have to change that, we can. That's just gonna prolong the thing. I expect it here tomorrow, but
A bond.
yes, but
Dennis, help me understand this.
See, I thought you were going the letter of credit route, and there was gonna be a draft coming from the bank and so forth.
Yeah, that's what I talked about, yeah.
But anyway,
Help me understand this.
either way, it's appropriate security, it's satisfactory security.
No, this maintenance bond that we got now, we're saying, this say 10% of the project.
Yes.
If we accept the 10% of the gravity portion and say that's acceptable right now, whenever they come back on the gravity portion and the additional, the low pressure portion and the additional gravity portion from these other development, could that be another maintenance bond issue?
Well,
So we handle it rather than say, okay, I need a maintenance bond now for, pick a number, say $250,000 for the entire project.
well, let me make sure I understand the project, because maybe it's me.
We can't ask for a bond for the rest of the stuff because we have no interest in it.
Right.
That's what I mean,
That's
that's where
right.
I'm going.
That's
If,
right.
if, say after 2 or 3 years from now, you decide you're gonna put the other system on, and then we do accept the dedication of that portion,
Well,
then
that's
do we
a
have to
different-
do, then is it another?
No, I
No.
don't think it would be. I think okay, you're saying at some point, the low pressure, let me call it low pressure.
Okay.
That is a private facility, as I understand it. At this point, not contemplated to become public.
Right.
Let's say that is that what you're saying? Maybe that changes. In 3 years, Mr. Morrison decides, you know what, I'd rather the authority maintain that, I'm gonna offer that for dedication. Okay. At that point, I think what happens, Sam, rather than getting maintenance or some kind of security, we would.
You take it over.
We would certainly inspect it, make sure you're satisfied with it, and if you are, you take it over.
And what about the expansion for the other 10 EDUs on the other housing development supposedly it's going in?
Well, I think if there are lines that are going to be built in the future that would be offered for dedication to the authority,
yes.
then they would be subject, in my view, to a new development
Right.
agreement.
Right.
Okay.
This existing developers agreement spells
So-
all that out.
So right now, now, we are just talking about the pump station, low pressure line, and the gravity system.
No.
We're just talking about the gravity.
Just the gravity line.
King
We're just
Cora.
going the manhole top of the hill, all the
Right.
way down to the treatment plant. That's it.
Right.
He maintains the low pressure, maintains the wet well, maintains everything on his property.
But that's the portion of the project that we're all talking about right now.
Yes.
And we're only gonna ask for the maintenance bond from the manhole down to the pan.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
And the one manhole was already.
The other stuff will not be addressed or taken care of until he gets his 10 EDUs done, that we will take it over. That way, we don't have a operational in the red of a system that's not gonna function.
But truthfully, from the authority's point of view, maybe it would be better if the maintenance period started when he offers it for dedication, but that's just not the way it ever works.
This is our easement.
Right.
It's on our right of way, so it needs to become ours as soon as possible because it's our right of easement going down through King Cora. That way it relieves him of everything but the 2-year window.
And frankly, I guess if it's not offered to the authority, if you don't have the 10 EDUs hooked up within this 2-year period, the maintenance security expires, it sort of didn't matter, but we don't know that sitting here
Yeah,
today.
it's an immaterial thing.
Right, we don't know.
Right. I mean, if it takes him 8 years to do that,
Right.
you know, but most like that Randy's saying, everything's gonna be taken care of, worked out, documented. The i's are gonna be dotted, the t's are gonna be crossed. It'll be a matter of technicality to take it over. Up when the 10 EDUs come. You understand what they're trying to do? That way there's not a problem with that.
It's all worked out now.
Yeah, it's all worked out now and resolved, and it's just a matter of voting on it, accepting it, and signing it.
Yes.
That's
That's what we all
yeah.
discussed and, but
To help
again,
me
we
make a
just,
decision here, are you all right with this?
well,
And I don't mean to put you on the spot, but
Well,
are you all right with this?
well, the point that the reason we discussed this was because of the developers agreement that was written initially. And it says that after the 10 EDUs, you decide, meaning the authority decides whether they want to accept it or not. You have that ability. So I'm okay.
Well, I think,
With-
Sam, are you asking
Same
to be okay
question.
with the amount?
Yes.
Oh, the amount of the money.
Same
Oh,
question
I
for
thought you
you.
meant with developing this.
I
Yeah.
have to rely on
Well,
what the engineers tell me would be the value of it.
We had
I
the-
don't have any idea what it would cost to put.
we had 9 manholes in that gravity sewer. One was existing that they tied into. So if you work,
And we have ductile iron and in case.
well, we had concrete encasement because of the well protection. And as far as the $2,500, you know, if you work it out with 8 manholes at $2,500 to $2,700 with the 110%, you know, we're like 25 and change. So we just rounded it off at 25,000. And the thing is with that, if it's over 25, here's the thing: you get prevailing wage rates, so that could go up. If we take 10%, you're not going to. I don't think you're going to get the whole system to fail. You know, it's gravity. So you know, that's where we came up with the $2,500.
Yeah, I think that you two really
Yeah.
had.
Yeah, we talked about-
Discussing, here's
Yeah.
about what the numbers.
What we think the numbers are. They're not very deep manholes.
We
No,
took the.
quite honestly,
You know.
Rock's figures for his manholes to me were were higher than our normal, but then his cost per foot was a bit lower. But when you take that overall, you know, $33 to $35 a foot for 8-inch sewer, it's right on the money. It's under 25. Then you apply 110%, you might get 27,000. So it's a fair figure. And the only maintenance.
It's in the ballpark. you're saying.
Yeah,
It's-
exactly.
Yeah.
And again, we were trying to work towards the end to get this resolved. We weren't trying to stumble around and say, well, really it should be 33,000 and change. You know, we're trying to get this to.
The other thing to keep in mind, and it may or may not be important to anybody, but this is security.
Yes.
That protects the board, that Mr. Morrison will take care of any tweaking that needs to be done to this system. Okay? He's still obligated to do it, and for now, it's his anyway.
Right. If you don't.
This is just protection, that
Right.
if he would say, for whatever reason, if he says,
Exactly.
the hell with it, I'm not doing anything, then we call in the security to get it.
Well, let me ask
But
You keep
there's-
saying $25,000.
Yeah.
But there's no chance, the bottom
I'm
line
reading
is.
2,500 here on this.
That's
That's
10%.
10%.
Okay.
Yeah, we're because the maintenance bonds are typically 10%.
Okay.
Yeah.
And let me just ask the board,
Let me finish
how
my-
often do you pop your manholes? I mean, the only maintenance normal for a gravity line is every year or two, you pop your manholes and.
We go through a 5-year cleaning cycle.
5 years.
Every 5 years, we're in them for sure. Guaranteed, right, Sam?
We tried it.
We try to be. We're pretty good at that.
I'm just asking
That's
you.
our maintenance program. We try to get through the whole sewer system, gravity flow system.
Every 5 years.
Within a 5-year window, and that's a substantial amount of footage that we're doing.
Sure it is.
So,
Any idea what it costs per manhole? I mean, just asking you.
they really don't go by manhole, they go by
Get
footage.
what footage?
And they flush it, and if we
Yeah.
have questions, they'll videotape it, to find out if we have an area and stuff like that. But it's a flush system, we flush it, scrub it out. I mean, it's a maintenance program. Okay?
Any idea what your typical costs are every 5 years when you do it?
We're generally spending what per year?
$1.50 a foot?
Do you remember what it was?
$1.50 a foot.
I think it was $3,000 or $4,000 the last one. we
Somewhere
did,
in that
wasn't it?
neighborhood.
Yeah, just say on the high side, it's probably $4,000 at the most. Some years it's longer, some years it's higher, some years it's shorter due to the footage distances, it's variable. It could not exceed no more than I'm pretty sure it don't exceed
Somewhere in the area.
Bob was
somewhere in the
suggesting-
area of 4,000.
Clean the line right across the foot.
All right, so if we've got, what's our gravity line, 800 feet?
950,
900
I
feet?
think is roughly.
Well, then doesn't that help substantiate it's a fair figure for maintenance for 2 years?
Let me finish the thought I was making.
I'm sorry.
Let's just say that the worst case scenario happens here, and this line is bad and all screwed up, and we say, Mr. Morrison, you gotta fix that up, and he says, I'm not doing it, the hell with it, and if we call on this security, if that's not enough to make this right, you've got another pretty big hammer, because when it comes time for him to want you to take it over, you're not gonna do it unless you're satisfied with the line at the time it's offered, because you don't have to take it over.
Let me ask a really dumb question, because I thought I had this all figured out, and now I'm confused again. This is an agreement for 2 years. Am I right in assuming that at that point, you're looking to expand on the other project?
Yes.
And that's where the 10 EDUs come in and the dedication and so forth.
Yes.
If that for some reason gets derailed and we're 2.5 years, 3 years down the road and none of that has happened, this agreement is good for 2 years. What happens at 2 years and 1 day?
It's dropped. And the system's proved, put it this way, after a 2-year time frame, the system has proven that it's gonna be a reliable system and it should not fail or malfunction anymore. Meaning that the trench won't settle, the lines won't block, there's no crushed pipes, there's no bellies in the pipe, no blockages, no squash pipes, no nothing. The system has went through a test period that it's.
But if it does go bad, if something
Right.
does go
I still don't know.
wrong, it's his
It's
system.
still his.
He's gotta maintain it.
He's actually guaranteeing his
For the
work.
for the first 2
And
years.
under his own, he's still owning it.
For the first 2 years.
Okay.
So he's,
We own it. We own everything on the right of way. Am I right?
well, he hasn't dedicated
You
it.
need the deed of dedication will
dedication.
give
He
you.
needs to
Right, the
dedicate the
deed of
facility.
dedication, okay, these are two
Yeah.
different things, you need to understand that, okay?
That's.
But with the maintenance agreement, he's gonna maintain, if we have a deed of dedication, he is gonna maintain that deed of dedication for 2 years, and then after that, it's all over with. Okay, it's our system upon the deed of dedication, but he will sign a letter of credit or a bond for 2 years in case there's any malfunction, so we don't have the repair work on it. It's a warranty, it's a 2-year warranty on the project.
Okay.
It's basically what it amounts to. Am I right,
That's
Randy?
what I wanted to make
It's a
sure, make
2-year
that
Yeah,
clear.
and that's why they usually go 10%, because you're not gonna warrant, if there's a
2 years
part,
is starting, the 2 years starts now.
substantial completion.
Right.
Would have been the date of June 30th.
Correct.
That's the start of
Now,
the two.
You guys can all correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, I think some contracts have maintenance periods that are shorter. I mean, there are
They
1
could be
year.
18 months,
Right, so.
but
There is.
typically
2
it's
years,
2
which is
years, and it is
fairly
10%.
typical.
So the question in my mind is, what value do you folks feel comfortable with, is saying, what does the maintenance security have to equal to cover should something happen? Is it $2,500? Is it $3,500? Again, we were trying to expedite this. We weren't going to stumble and argue, because we came up with some numbers and we're like, okay, we'll present that and see if that's acceptable. Again, we can't approve it or authorize it. It's just.
We also have the ability to use that line anytime we wish, once we sign the deed of dedication in advance. Am I correct? Means we have total access to that line too. Okay, so we can do our thing at that moment.
When you accept it.
When we accept it.
Yeah.
Okay? And his maintenance agreement is still gonna cover that line no matter what.
For 2 years.
For 2 years.
From June 30th.
And we already have, yes.
We all thought you were ready to
Sam.
begin.
Don't you be giving me that, Mr. Shaver.
Until he signs the deed of dedication, it's his line.
That's
That's
correct.
right.
That is correct.
Did he sign it?
Huh?
Did he sign it?
No.
When is he gonna sign it?
Well, he's gonna sign it soon, and one of us is gonna hold it.
That's right.
But the board won't accept it until there's 10 EDUs of flow, or doesn't have to accept it.
Exactly.
Whoa.
He's
Or
right.
could accept it sooner,
Could
but they
accept
wouldn't have to.
On our gravity flow line,
I'm confused.
I'm confused. Not on the gravity flow line, on our easement, or right away.
That's a low pressure line.
The low pressure line is the
It's
one,
not till.
He owns
You
outright.
see, okay, I see there's an issue here. From the treatment plant to the manhole where the low pressure system pumps in,
Yes, at manhole 18.
18.
Yes.
That needs to be turned over to us.
That's what we're saying. It doesn't get turned over to you until there's 10 EDUs in the system and you have the ability to accept it at that point.
So that means we don't have the ability to hook into that system and do what we want with it. Because it's his.
true.
That's right.
That's not what we want.
Well, this agreement was written,
Yes.
The agreement
Well, then you
is,
could accept it earlier.
we want to accept the gravity flow within our easement right away now. From that manhole that is on the first property, all the way down to the treatment plant, we want to own.
Well, I don't see why you can't.
you'd have to consult the agreement, I can't tell you. I'm not-
You see what I'm trying, you see what we're getting at?
Well,
That
I'd
way,
like-
if we
Kevin,
decide,
If I was in yours, I'd not tell you what to do there. I'd wait after the 2-year maintenance agreement was over. That's what I would do.
Yeah, we were just taking this from the developer's
The
agreement
agreement,
that was approved, I think, December 2012, John.
agree
Is
with
that,
you,
because
yes.
you only gave me the few pages to
oh, I
that.
did? Oh,
I only got pages 5, 6, and 7, but I think from our
because
conversation.
of our, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Well,
Yeah,
then
Dennis has got a
accept it
copy.
when we need-
But-
we would get, what we may want to do is get two separate, what I think I'm hearing is maybe we want to get two separate deeds of dedication. Is that what this sounds like? One for the gravity area and one for the low pressure? And then if it comes to pass that the board wants to
That's
accept
what I was asking.
either of them earlier, you just do it. You're in
I'm
control of
just-
that.
But we were never going to
Yeah.
own the low pressure.
I,
The authority was never going to own the low pressure.
Yes, it were.
No.
in the future,
In the
In the
future, that
future-
you're, it's.
Well,
In the future, that's
in the
why I
fu-
was, that's
in
why I
the
was asking
future,
the
it's
question
the
I was
option, it's the authority's option to, after 10 EDUs, the authority has the option of taking over the whole system. Pump station, the whole caboodle, from what I remember of this,
okay.
of the year, it took us a
Then
couple
I'm-
years to thrash this thing out. We didn't thrash it out, but it took, you and Bill. So, as I recall, yeah, it's the authority's option. And Mr.
Well, I even read that. But I was thinking that was,
question
gotcha.
whether they can take, the gravity line can be accepted at this point. I don't know if that's in
see,
congruence
if we
with that
can make,
agreement.
if we end up having to turn around and increase the size of the system, or anything, on our cost, our dime, and everything else,
Right.
and we have to use that gravity flow system for other uses other than Mr.
Morrison,
Right.
it's not ours to do that with.
Well, I can only, maybe this will help. The system was originally approved for a 6-inch line. The authority requested it be up to 8. We
Correct.
agreed to that. The authority, as you know, is going to pay the difference between the 8 and the 6-inch. That's part of that agreement. So, and with the fall we have on that gravity line, you could have, oh Lord, you could have easy 500 homes or more on that 8-inch line. So I don't know what else, what's contemplating.
But what I'm trying to say is, can we hook into that line?
Now?
We do not own, yeah.
No. That's a legal question for Dennis, I would think.
Yeah, I
If
don't
he
know.
owns it, if he owns it,
I think you have to accept it,
we
Yeah.
have to
but I
accept it.
think you can accept it anytime you want to accept it.
So
Well,
I
I
don't
thought we
see a
had
problem.
that hashed out. We
There's
were
not a
gonna
problem
accept-
here.
That's part of it right up front. Am I right,
If you
Sam?
Hey, Henry, if you need it before that, we just come, we have a meeting, we just come to the meeting, we accept it, and we go on.
It's not an issue.
I mean, I thought
Yeah,
we were.
that's a little, that there he's not dedicating easements, because you're in an easement now.
Yes.
He's just dedicating the facilities themselves, the lines.
The
Sure.
facility and the
It's
easement,
a-
I had the impression that once
Okay.
we had an easement, we left somebody else go through our easement to put a system
Mhm.
in, okay?
That's right, because the easement's in your name.
Okay? The idea of it is once that was all in, and it's up to that manhole,
Mhm.
it should be ours.
Should be-
Ours and
that's
our
actually-
easement. Understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes, I do.
That's
Well, then
what-
we'll do a dedication of the,
How that got out of whack,
Well,
I'm
because
a
the way
little-
that's written is you're not obligated to accept that until there's 10 EDUs connected
you're
to
not
the.
obligated.
Obligated.
But you
Right.
can.
And, that's right.
We don't care what happens to the low pressure system up through.
Right.
We're more worried about the gravity flow part of that.
I have another question just to stir the soup. You have 2 easements.
Yes.
You have the easement along Cove Road, which I believe recently here, because of the reference there in the MUMA conveyance, also carries along Cove Road past manhole 18.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I was under that impression before.
I'm not under that impression either. I
Well,
thought we had
it
to get down.
says, but-
If it is, that's new to me.
Well, I got the deed, I have it right here, the recorded.
Which will
because
take it all the way to, what road is that?
Psalm.
When Thoma,
No.
excuse me,
Morning Dove.
Morning Dove.
That's
When-
actually wrong too, by the way.
what is
That
it?
shouldn't even be Morning Dove. That used to be, what was it?
Here,
I live on it.
no, I can, no.
The one up that goes past Charlie Oaks' place.
Used to be Deer Path.
Yeah, Deer
And
Path.
they made it Morning Dove. I don't know why they did it.
Okay, well, either way, it's.
Either way, it don't matter.
All right. You have 2 easements, you got 3, but you got 2 easements. One that comes along Cove Road, as we talked, as you're looking at the map, comes up Cove Road, goes across what's now Frisch's property. Because when MUMA sold to Maxwell in 1995, or 8, I have it here somewhere.
I think it was 8.
The same day, he recorded an instrument that, and I've sent it to Randy, which, I don't know if you have it with you, which describes, subject to the easement along the northern, and someone wrote in, subject
Yep.
to the easement along the eastern, and then they wrote in by hand, and northern boundaries,
Mhm.
and they initialed it.
Mhm.
So, although no plan shows it, to my knowledge, you have an easement that carries along the Frisch
That
property.
is correct. There is no plan that I know of that
No.
shows that. And that was the concern I was always worried about, us having access off of
Well,
Township Road to.
I
the
have,
manhole.
as I say, somewhere here in my.
You see what I'm saying, Randy? Now.
Well, that's what
Now-
your concern resulted in this big discussion of these easements.
Now,
Now, that's the first easement. The
Yeah.
second easement you have, of course,
Yeah.
which is your easement, or it was dedicated to
Well, this whole agreement
Penn
between.
Township, but I don't know if you ever accepted it, and that's the one that goes down along the former MUMA property, now Frisch property, the one where Rock's low-pressure line
Right.
comes up. That easement was in that same conveyance, was offered to Penn Township, not the authority, Penn Township. All right?
Here's another
Well,
small
so-
problem.
so we don't know who owns the easement.
Well, here's the thing, though.
Well,
It says
I
Penn
asked-
Township Authority. It's between MUMA, and Penn Township Authority.
Does it say?
Yeah, and then in the legal description, where it's described, it says Penn Township. So I just took that as an informality, because the agreement for the sewage facility is between Wayne B. MUMA and Rosemary C. RUMA and the Penn Township Municipal Authority of Perry County, Pennsylvania. So, if you want to.
Here is the easement that conveys this. Just read that box there. You read it out loud if you want, right?
Existing 30-foot wide sanitary easement on the eastern and northern side of Lot 1 of the therein mentioned plan.
Lot 1 is the Frisch property now, Maxwell.
The 9-acre tract, yes. As more particularly shown and described on the final subdivision plan of Wayne Moonwall, May 26, 1995, reported, and don't give you the details.
And unfortunately, the numbers weren't filled in.
Right.
But we can be fairly sure from the dates that that's the plan we all know about, that we have a copy of.
And this has been executed too, so.
Yeah.
You see, what my concern was, this describes it based on Lot 1 boundaries, not based on
The right of way or,
roads.
and that was what.
That's why we decided, let's be
That's
safe
what I was
and do
worried
it
about.
that
I thought
way.
all those trees and stuff that go down on Cove Road that's on Frisch's property were.
Well, and this document, which is referenced here, is showing the 33-foot right-of-way along Cove Road, but then their plans are showing 60 feet. So that's where the confusion starts to evolve, and
I mean, the last thing we want to do is turn around and upset the.
And that's why, the record drawings to me are satisfactory, all but it's showing an easement. They were recorded as such through your land development plan. So I don't know if legally if that's an acceptance of that easement where it's been
Well, it's an
shown.
offer of it.
Okay,
It's
so does it actually exist that way? I don't know. If it does exist that way, you do have access and the facilities are located within the easement as shown on the plans.
And our plans,
You know,
when you go back to the original 30-foot easement, I'm not pointing at you, but the original 30-foot easement came into the Cove Road end of it was implied to go into the Cove Road end of the plant. We changed that when Randy's boss, Elmer and myself and Rock and Bill, we had flagged out this line, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. We flagged this line out and the four of us walked it one day. From tip to toe, and then at that point, well, it was more than 5 years ago. More than 5 years ago. And the decision was made the recommendation was, don't come in the north end of the plant, come into the existing manhole where we did. So there was a change in that easement at that
So
point.
in other words, you had to drill into another manhole because
We went into the existing manhole there.
that had the tap already in place.
I guess so, yeah.
They weren't used.
That it wasn't used.
Before board another hole.
You
My
put a
po-
drop manhole in there. Okay.
My point is a simple one, and that is because we're talking about recorded drawings. So what we recorded was in actuality where it is now, and the reason, the one change that was made was at the direction of the engineer. Be easier to go in that route. He agreed it would save some trees, so versus the old 1995 written easement, okay?
So it still went into the same manhole, just got rerouted a little bit.
Just over.
I don't know if the original easement went into any manhole. When that easement was,
It had its own tap in it, am I right, Rob? The bottom, there's one way deep, but you said you didn't.
There's two in the bottom yet.
Two in the bottom, yeah.
but I'm talking about the Cove End Road of the plant. I don't know if the plant even existed when that easement was created, Henry. I think
Here's
that.
what happened, King Core built that plant and dedicated it to us. So they gave all those easements when that all went into place.
Is that what happened?
And that's what happened. Those easements all went into place, it went up along King Court and everything, it all came together when they put that plant together, across their property.
that all get signed in at one time.
Yeah, that I would
If
know.
I'm not mistaken, that's how the
That's what I
protocol
heard.
operates,
Yeah.
okay?
Okay,
So the right of way, the treatment plant and everything was built by King Cora and dedicated to the municipal authority, which operated it in the red for I don't know how many years.
that's what I understand.
And it's only been within the last couple of years that it's got its capacity to the point that it's a break-even thing. That's about all it is. But
Anyway,
that was all done at one time. Am I right,
Right.
Sam?
Yes.
That was dedicated all to the town or the municipal authority all at one time.
had a different name then. It was not the PTMA, it was something, well, I have it here. It was an earlier name for your authority.
I don't think there was a new.
No, there was never a difference.
Oh, I beg to differ, because I came across it, I said, oh, that was their earlier name. It was I gotta find it now that I've opened my mouth.
Well, I'd be curious.
Hmm?
Because
Yeah.
that one there and the one down the road, but back to where we're trying to get to. Now, it's gonna be up to the authority members here to make a decision on whether we decide to own this thing, or
Yes.
whether you're gonna own it for the time frame at hand,
Yeah.
okay? You understand what the issue is, board member?
Well, we've been here for 2 hours, I'm
Yeah.
so confused.
I thought all along, and I think the rest of the board members thought that everything that was on the easement that we own, the easement that we have, King Cora, was going to be dedicated to the municipal authority up to the last manhole where the low pressure system comes in. At settlement here, and then the rest of
Well-
it would be picked up at the end at the 10 EDU unit.
Well, what we thought so too. I think I thought the same thing, but then when we read the developers
Apparently, I
agreement.
thought so too.
Yeah, I think we all thought that, but then when we read the developer, you have the option not to accept it until there's 10 EDUs connected. So we were thinking, well, that's again, a discussion item.
Right. Well, it seems to me the simple thing, let me talk here and
No.
see if everybody agrees. We have a deed of dedication of the facilities, the lines that are in the gravity part, okay, which would be executed and delivered, and the authority, somebody holds it, and at such time as you want to accept that, you just accept it by action. Maybe that's next month, maybe that's after the maintenance period runs out, I don't know, but in case you want it, that you've got that dedication of the lines. And then we have a separate deed of dedication, which would be for rights of way and the facilities in the rights of way that relates to the other part, the low pressure part. Does that sound like a solution that makes sense? We hold that as well.
That's my memory of the agreement that envisioned the agreement continuing on down to the pump station, yes. In our discussions with Bill and all that, that was, I don't know how much we anticipated going beyond that point. Although in Rock's land development plan, we showed sewers that were approved by DEP and all that, in this authority. We had sewers in his lines there for future buildings. Now that may not come to pass. It depends on the economy and what he wants to do. As you know, we're now going to focus on the uphill ground.
So the low pressure side of it, we have the document at such time as you have 10 EDUs connected, or possibly sooner if the board wishes to take it over.
That's correct.
You just pass a motion to accept the dedication, and we record it.
That's correct. Pump station, right.
Does that sound like it would get you where you want to be?
Ultimately.
So in other words, so this is where this maintenance thing's starting to make more sense now. Now I'm starting to see where this is coming into play. You're putting a maintenance agreement on the line that you own on our easement.
Exactly, as it stands right now.
Okay, as it stands right now.
Yes.
Okay? If we take it over, what happens to that maintenance agreement?
It still stays in effect, because it's a maintenance agreement. It's just a maintenance security for 2 years from the date of substantial completion, just to ensure that it was constructed and, there's no issues with it. And it's usually.
There's 2 ways that we could probably do this then. We could turn around and let the maintenance agreement expire, and upon the expiration, we sign the system we get the system signed over to us.
Right.
Right.
Okay, up to the gravity flow system. just the gravity flow, not the
Yeah.
low pressure. Okay?
Exactly.
Or we do it right now and get it over with.
You could.
You could.
You'd have
Okay.
control over that.
Which is what we originally were shooting for.
Well,
I think we ought to get it over with.
I think we ought to own it too. I mean, that's, but you see what I'm trying to say. I think how Sam, you guys picked that up? Cause I missed it. Somehow, you guys picked it up. I have no idea how that brought discussion, cause I thought we were gonna be taking that system over 100%.
no.
On the gravity flow only, on our easement.
On the
What we
gravity-
own on our easement
that-
only.
Well, that was the original intent, but then we got this agreement out, and it says even the gravity, you have the ability not only to accept it upon 10 EDUs connected to it. That's where everything came
Because
apart.
if we decided we wanted to go down and pick
You know.
up the development that those folks are in, then we have to go and sign everything over.
I mean, this was,
That was the purpose of getting it signed over immediately, so we have that ability at any time we want. It's not a matter of whether there's EDUs or capacity down there, that's another issue that needs to be addressed later on our behalf. But the owning of the line is what is important to make that happen, am I right, Dennis?
I don't see where the board's gonna have a problem at all. Anyway, that can be done at any time. Say there's an emergency situation comes up, I don't see an issue. Because you're gonna take.
I understand that, but life changes for all of us too, and things could change on this board. A lot of people might not, I mean, we could all change, okay? Something could happen to you, and then all this stuff is out in a different direction, okay?
We'll have the agreement ready to go like Dennis
The longer it
suggested.
drags out, the less, I mean, it's a loose end. You see what I'm saying, Dennis?
Going back in time, somebody in 1998, and they had to participate with this body, and that predates me, predates Rod. Somebody in 1998 realized that the sewer line along Cove Road, along what's now Frisch property, at the time Huma property, or Maxwell property, wasn't going to work. And so they created, by virtue of the plan in 1998, they created that easement that came along the eastern boundary of Maxwell, down to the low point near where the pump station is. Somebody realized then the only way you could probably gravity uphill of Cove Road would be to go down to the low spot there, because Cove Road has its own dip in it. So, enough for me. That's just history.
Okay, like I said, it's gonna be what the body of the authority wants, you know what I'm saying, to wish to do that. Now, I think it's time we decide what we wanna do here.
Yes.
We've kind of discussed before you had. You agree, Dennis?
Yes.
Okay.
If you're capable of resolving it now, let's do it.
Do we wanna make any motions to resolve some of this stuff the way we want it tonight, as a board? Or do we wish to, we've got the assurances of both the engineer and our solicitor. And what is the wish? Do we wish to take it over, or do we wish to have him maintain that? I was under the impression that we were gonna take it over. Am I correct, Randy?
That was the original, and like I said, then we got this, and then we read that, and then we're like.
And that's what your stumbling block was.
Yeah, that was
And
the
that's what I wasn't
stumbling block,
understanding,
yeah.
And I did not comprehend that, and I apologize for that.
No, that's where we're kind of, we
We're
don't know,
jukebox. So
because
we-
somebody agreed to do this initially for this language to be in this developer's agreement. So
Okay.
we didn't want to supersede something that's already been worked out to some degree, and then say, well, so initially, my idea or thought was, you're going to get dedication now. You're going to accept the sewer line. Gravity only, okay? And then, but then when we read this, we're like, oh, well, you have the option. So what's the authority's desire? Is it to wait and accept it with the 10 EDUs of flow, or is it to accept it now? And that's where that was what it was.
And that decision really doesn't have to be made right now.
No.
You can direct.
It's not a problem anyway.
What you could do is give guidance that we want these two instruments to be prepared, executed, and delivered to the authority to be held. And at such time as you decide to accept, you pass a motion in the meeting and accept.
Because, I mean, we could have within the next 2 years, 3 years, you guys end up getting complaints and issues, DEP comes in and they mandate us to go in
and force you guys to hook up. And that's the concern I have. We need to own that line we need to be in possession of that
You
line.
need to be in a position to own it when you need to own it.
Right.
And the sooner we own it, then that eliminates a gray area
True.
that we don't have.
You are the as-bills.
No matter who's on the authority at that
Yes.
time,
Are
they
you
don't
all
have to
right
go
with
back.
the as-bills?
Yes.
I'm
Well, the only
looking at
question
the
I
state's
had was the
authority leaves.
easement
Nobody here for
location
years.
in relationship to the right-of-way,
And
whether
And you're
it's.
all right with that?
Let's
Right.
clean it up.
No.
Well,
I-
from what we were
I agree
discussing, and I would defer to Dennis, is that if the plan was recorded,
We own the easement, we own the lines, we own
it should be there. The only thing we may need to do
everything.
is,
The gravity part. That's on my behalf.
Let me make a motion here.
Yes.
All right, I'd like to make a motion that, put on the table that we accept the as-built, after his corrections of Randy's comments on.
They've been
We-
done, they're all
that
done.
our comments have been addressed. The only thing that Dennis and I and Mr. Mellon have been discussing is the location of that easement. Is it off of the 33-foot right-of-way, or is it off the 60-foot? And I think Dennis was saying that the plan was recorded.
All right, once that's resolved, then I move that we accept the as-built.
Yeah.
We also accept the maintenance letter of credit for $2,500, which is 10% of the estimated cost of the gravity line,
Or maybe a bond.
or a
Right.
bond.
Yes.
And this is for security.
Whatever is satisfactory to your
Yeah.
approval.
Right, for security, for maintaining this line for a period of 2 years, yada, yada, yada. And also accept the deed of dedication and conveyance for the gravity portion from the manhole to the point of connection with the wastewater treatment facility.
Manhole 18 to,
That's the manhole top of the building.
that's
for
the
your
one,
property.
yes. Manhole 18 is the one he installed, and we called out it's called out the existing manhole, the manhole prior to the Concord treatment plant, wastewater treatment plant.
Okay, you wanna say that again?
Well, the low manhole, yeah.
If you have that, Susan.
Anything else?
No.
What about the?
And if this is accepted by the municipal authority, we issue a letter to the board of supervisors stating the same.
But what about that right away? Dedication
That's
of
what,
the right
that's
away?
what Randy was saying about the as-bills.
No.
On the right
No,
of way.
no.
On the right of
What
way.
Henny's talking about, that we have the ownership of that.
That's
It is-
that's a deed of dedication
Okay,
from
that's-
from manhole 18 to the wastewater treatment
Okay,
facility.
just so that's included.
And I don't think it has to be in this motion, but we will also get the other deed of dedication for the low-pressure system. Okay, in other words, we'll get the document, and somebody can hold it.
Okay, it'll be ready, all it needs is signed, the paperwork,
Well,
and
it can be
all the
signed.
legwork will be done on it at that
Right.
time, okay?
I think you said you've got forms for that.
Yes,
You've
I
got
do.
it. All right.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been regularly moved and seconded, do we need to hear Susan repeat that?
Here's what I've got. We're gonna accept the as-built. You're going to accept the as-built. I don't know what those conditions are to accept them. Accept a maintenance bond or letter of credit for a period of 2 years in the amount of $2,500. Accept a deed of dedication for the conveyance facilities from
For the
manhole 18 to the Cove treatment plant.
And you might want to put gravity sewer system.
Gravity portion.
Gravity, yeah.
Kinmore plant.
Yeah.
Conveyance facilities. Okay.
So you got a
And the
little bit.
letter.
I have that too. Issue a letter to the PTS.
Yeah.
Nothing major.
No.
I got a question. If you're talking about this gravity, it starts at 18,
Top of the
right?
building.
I know where that is. And then does it go gravity all the way to the cove where it grinds it up?
Yep.
But what are you talking, I thought I just heard her say to a point of, but it goes all the way down, don't it? Or is it go and then
It
stop?
ties into an existing manhole outside the treatment plant. It don't get piped all the way over and just drop in the treatment plant. It
Okay.
ties into another manhole, so it's another point of
Mine right
connection.
here.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Okay, it's a manhole outside the fence that they tied into.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so technically,
not, it don't go to the treatment plant, it
Right.
goes into an existing line before the treatment plant.
Okay, I got you. I didn't
Okay.
know what your guys were.
I had
Ashton
prior
around,
for
you
my
know.
minutes, but Sam repeated and said to the co-plant, so I
Okay.
just
But
pulled that
it's
back.
it's all within, what, 50 feet of the treatment plant, it's about what it amounts to, okay? Okay, it's been regularly moved in second, is there any more discussion? All those in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Can I ask a question? This, we take care of this deed of dedication shortly, right? I mean, immediately, or what, the next?
If you can get that resolved, we have a JOAC meeting next week. If we can
week.
have all that, and
Well,
then he turns around and says it meets his satisfaction, we can turn around and agree to send a letter to the township supervisor.
So you're gonna draft the letter?
Yeah.
You'll
We will
draft the
never
thing,
read that.
send it to us.
Is the authority in agreement with that?
Yep.
Okay?
Can I accept
Until
the
then, we
as-bills,
will not
maintenance
make any
bond,
agreement, so you
deed
got,
of
what,
dedication
next
for the
Monday?
gravity system.
Yeah, next Monday is when the meeting is.
My last
Send a
question on
letter to
that.
Helen.
May I ask, going back to what Helen has told me, can anyone here, who in the township authority has to review that certificate of occupancy? Again, to use her words, she's waiting for someone to review that.
We don't review them.
We don't
She gives
review
them, she issues them.
certificates of occupancy. I think what she's looking for was that letter from us that says that we've accepted all of this stuff.
That's what I think. That's
Yes,
why I
she's
sent her
looking
that.
for documentation that you guys are done, we have no issues. Once that is done, then they can address whatever they got to with you. Until
Right.
then, they're not gonna do nothing. That's the
Right.
impression I'm getting, okay? This
Okay.
is,
So this-
hopefully by next Monday, this is all gone.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Am I right?
I hope so.
5 years.
Not that I don't like talking.
You're talking about Monday, what? Are you talking about the 11th?
JOAC, yeah.
That's it, okay.
Okay. You don't need to be at the meeting,
No,
all you
no,
gotta
I
do is
need-
give us a
yeah. Gotta
communication
get the
and
document.
make sure the documents are satisfactory, and
Yeah.
we can make a motion to approve or reject, you understand what I'm saying?
If you can read from scratch.
Now, the authority is going to issue that letter to the township supervisors, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Not that, okay.
And that will be once this is done,
Yes,
not before.
right. So if this ain't done next Monday, it goes on till our
it
next
is
day of the
done.
meeting, unless we make an extra special meeting for it,
Good.
okay?
I think
So-
we'll have it done Monday.
We've accomplished our,
I think we'll have it done. I think
we've
we'll have it
accomplished
done.
our goal.
Okay, that's what happened last Wednesday.
I'm sorry about the little misinterpretation there on, I was focused on what we were looking at, not where it was heading, Randy.
Well, that's where we needed discussion on
I
this,
was not-
and there was no reason
You weren't
to,
understanding me in the beginning,
Yeah.
a month ago, and then you understood me, and then now I misunderstood you.
yeah, well.
Okay,
But I apologize, I didn't forward the email, but it was just kind of a summary, because
Okay.
there were still further discussions that we
Certainly.
had, and, yeah.
But if we'd had this, we might have been able to look at it, our decisions, we could have made a couple questions if there would have been any, and maybe we could have saved a little bit of time here too.
Sure, and I take full responsibility for that.
Me too, we'll try to.
Let's keep
Keep moving.
Okay?
Good, because on that one I'm innocent. All right.
All right,
Treasurer's report.
See ya.
You got anything else, Dennis?
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, folks.
Yep. Treasurer's report.
well, you see Karen's delinquent report.
Thank you, Sam.
How much do they owe us?
Well,
What?
How bad is it?
How bad is it, yeah?
well, your
71
water
times.
accounts are up, but that's because of the one entity.
Oh, geez, wow.
Again,
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's 71,000?
Do a lot of things with that money.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, somebody else.
$12,000.
Is that the trailer park?
You ready to get home?
Almost 13,000.
Well, okay, yeah,
All we couldn't do was 71,000.
yeah, I can tell you, I did speak to the lady at the bank, and, she said, "You're kidding me." I said, "No, I'm not."
Sorry, Dennis, let me interrupt. Are we done with the engineer?
Is there anything else?
Goodbye.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that.
No, not a
Shouldn't have to
problem.
go before we get
I'm
into
sorry
Don't
too
hit
that,
any deer on the way home.
yeah.
Stay safe.
It was extremely complicated.
You don't need him for anything to do with new business number 1 there.
We haven't heard nothing.
Oh, okay, because I had that email and I didn't know if there was anything since then.
Okay.
Don't know.
For the funding, we haven't heard anything. That was one of
No, new business.
Oh, the new, I'm sorry. I was thinking about the CDBG.
Yeah.
Place on the upper end where they sell fireworks.
The old Clear
Windows
Choice.
on the world. Oh, you weren't here when we called it that.
The one on the upper end where you cross railroad tracks to go over Railroad Street. The building up at the upper end used to be a car lot. And down, you know what I'm talking about? They want to hook in, and it was brought up and haven't heard nothing since. So, till we hear something, you can't, nothing you can do.
Okay, I didn't know if
Okay?
there was
I've
more
not heard
information.
anything, have you, Sam?
No.
All right.
All right.
And you guys haven't heard anything about the funding either then?
No.
No.
And we still got,
Some
we'll address the
surveys to do.
Don't
Okay,
worry
I'm
about
out of here.
Thank you, Randy.
Good night, all. Thanks.
Okay, sorry about that.
Take a deep breath on the way.
What were you talking about here now?
He was talking about the trailer park.
Yeah.
Essentially, what I was told is, we're not gonna do anything until you
Pursue it.
push the button, so to speak. And even then, she said, I'm not promising anything, but she said, we just can't until you push the button. So I'm assuming from that, you want me to go ahead and get a sale process started right away, right? I mean,
Might as well.
I don't know what else to
Yep.
do.
Yeah, what else
Keep
can you
growing.
do?
The screws to 'em.
Yep.
Just say put the screws to them, we gotta do what we gotta do.
Well, I mean, if that's what it takes, I'm sorry,
Right,
but
4,000
what
for
more can we do?
45, see.
Hmm?
Then sewer is,
Yeah, it gets big.
gets worse.
It gets big awful quick.
What the hell's the problem?
Well, let's just,
Well, the banker doesn't even know.
Anything else in regards to this?
Oh, 1142, that was on the sheriff's sale list for a couple weeks ago, or a week ago, whenever the sale was in July, and it was stayed by the bank at the last minute. The sheriff doesn't know why, but it was stayed, so that process didn't go through, and they'll have to start over if they want to sell it. So I would assume you want me to proceed with that now too, right? I mean, we might as well. We don't know when, if ever, it'll get back on their list. They may have run it current, I don't know.
That's not bankruptcy protected yet,
No.
is it?
They had already,
I know that was at one point.
it was. So I don't think they can go that route again for a while, but I've seen it happen. And I'm working on getting a bunch of things underway. I've got the title updates. I need to sit with Karen and make sure I have all the current numbers, and that I know who's made payments and who hasn't. If there's anybody I should pull off, but
And we just got something today from the township secretary who wanted it to go to the board, but we chose not to give it to you because you wouldn't know what to do with it, so to speak, gentlemen and lady, because it was from the county and it's about tax sale.
Oh.
And they want to know how many liens are on the properties.
Mhm.
And obviously, you know, the board members themselves don't do it, so Karen is taking care of that. She'll call you, because this 800 and 163 is one of them. Also, I believe.
Which one?
The two in heavy, the trailer park.
Oh, okay. Well, they're going tax sale.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And also 1142, I believe, is one of them.
Oh.
Along with 949. So she'll talk to you about, you know.
Yeah, I have the, she probably has the lien information, but I have the the county's judgment index on my system, so I can punch the name in and get the list and make sure.
Well, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
In fact, I could show her how to do that too.
Okay.
I see 9 here, it says Dennis waiting. What are we waiting there on?
Which one?
There's 9 of them. Starting with 43.
Probably, I think, yeah, for me to
319.
File the writ of execution.
Oh,
I
okay.
think what it is.
Okay.
What's going on with, let's see, there's 2 of them, there's one on each side. 605 and 91.
605.
One's water, one's sewer. Because of the remark there behind 91, is there any
They
action?
came in, no, quit making payments after the sheriff's sale was stopped. The sheriff's sale was stopped because they came in, signed a payment plan, and you dropped, okay, so that was the deal. You come in, make a payment plan, they did all that, and now quit making payments.
So that gets back on to
Yep.
proceed.
That was my question, what action's being taken since they've not followed through?
Basically, quit making payments, another one down below, same way down, a couple of them.
949, but now if that's going to tax sale.
And 1159.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And
They go back to the sheriff's sale, right?
yes.
Right back to that position where we were?
Yes.
And then the next time there is no payment agreement, I believe is what you,
I think so.
That's
is
correct.
what your motion was made.
They gotta pay the whole thing off to get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise you're just gonna, the merry-go-round.
Right, you burn us once. you- Do we don't need a motion
No,
to accept this.
no, that's just for your review.
Yeah, part about it, this has been our main authority of the
No,
Oh, no, it's been in the paper.
it's in quite a bit, chronic problem.
Middletown's got it.
People so hard, they'd probably be happy for it.
Well,
Some of them will.
and they do get it.
Huh?
There's a request for that list every month.
You're kidding.
Oh, yeah,
Who?
the citizens group.
Oh.
And Dennis had said once, a couple
I
of
don't
years
see-
ago when they started that, you know, this is public information, so they get it.
But nobody's publishing it though.
I don't know that. I don't know what they're doing with it. Yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah.
And they just had a court case here not too long ago that says that we can do that and not get in trouble, right?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Because I mentioned that before.
yeah.
Yeah, but I think Dennis advised us not to do it, that somebody else could do it.
Right.
They come and get the information from us.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go out and post
Okay.
it.
Yeah, I don't think we,
Motion to pay the monthly bills totaling $59,865.26.
Second?
Been regularly moved and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'd like to have the one other bill approved. It's for Swift Reach for $30.55, and we can do it if you, I brought it, it just came in today, after I made this up. I was gonna bring it to for the JOAC meeting, and I thought if you don't have a meeting then, so
Motion to include the Swift Reach bill for
$30.55.
$30.55.
I'll just keep that, we'll just keep, okay. I'm just gonna add that into the original motion.
Been regularly moved and seconded, all those in favor
Aye.
give their consent saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay.
All right, and as far as the financial report, I was away, as you know, at the end of June and the beginning of July, so I did not give you an update for the budget for the first 6 months. Nor did I give you one this month, so I'll take the heat, I'll take the hit. I will tell you that on the very bottom right-hand corner of your back page where it says how much has gone out of project reserve, there is more than that. And that's just because I didn't put in the little things like something just came in for $500 or whatever, and they decided it was, Sam or Ed said, it's really a capital reserve project. So I will get you a complete breakdown, I promise, by next month. It's not going to happen by Monday.
Motion to accept the financial report subject to audit.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept the financial report. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Executive Secretary's report.
She's just,
How is our Executive Secretary been doing?
she's doing the best she can.
Good days, bad days.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you understand that,
Yep,
so.
I understand that. Okay. JOAC meeting, August 11th, 6:30 PM here. Okay. We have outgoing and incoming correspondence. I didn't get a chance to look at them. Everybody have anything in there worthwhile? Any statements, all that good stuff?
Nothing are shaking.
You're getting writer's cramp tonight, Sam, are you? Okay.
I got the stamp, but I figured I'd do it this way.
There aren't as many bills tonight, so he's got a break.
Go ahead, Elmer, take a look at it. Okay. All right, keep on moving here. Periodicals.
Yeah, well, you know what, we don't even bring half of them to you
Yeah,
anymore. We get more junk things that come to Mr. Henry Homan, Homan.
Mm-hmm. All right, old business. CDBG funding update. I understand we have to go back out and get more surveys, okay?
I think there's only 23 of them down there, 23 or 24 of them down there to do yet.
Okay, I apologize, I've been working a bunch, but I did get out a while back, and I don't know whether I'll get a chance to do it this week or not. One night I'm working, next night I ain't, so I don't know where I'm at anymore. But it's not a 40-hour work week anymore for me, so. And that could be that way for another couple of weeks till I get through this. But
Well, I went out and got 12, remember, two of the 12.
and most of them are, and all of them are in the apartment
It's
complex,
in the apartments.
right?
And
Okay.
it's hard as hell to get anybody to answer the door over there. I don't know, I think some of those are just vacant. Probably more than we think.
We have a list of the apartment. We went to Helen and got the per capita tax CD. And so she went through that and got a list of all the people that lived in the apartment. She's got their names. But a lot of them just aren't in the phone book. She's trying to match phone numbers with them so that she can just call them. But, people don't have landlines anymore, or they moved in, in February, but the phone, anyway, that's not working out as well as we thought it would be, but.
I went over like at 6 o'clock, 6:30, something. I thought people would be home from work. 2 out of 12.
At what time?
About 6:30, 7.
Well, that's most of the time I see, because I put my dates down and put the hours, and I see Sam, I think it was Sam or somebody else that went and did it. I did the same thing, and it's kind of nice because we both kind of went at the same time the last time I was out through, it was within 15 minutes, as a matter of fact, but just different days. And some days are good. I end up going towards the end of the weeks because that's what ended up suiting me better, or on weekends. But like I said, I don't know what is the perfect time. If anybody can get out and do them and keep on them diligently, I mean, you got three tries to fill them out. How many times have we been out? Twice? Once?
Well, yeah, I've been out. Yeah, I don't know how many, 3 times at least. One thing we need to keep in mind that every time we put one down, put down that is unavailable, that's considered an over, an above.
Right.
On the funding. So now I don't know where the refusals come in. Do they come in as an over as well? I don't know.
I mean, I've only had in all the surveys that I've ever done, I just had one the last time I was out, it was refusal. That's the first one I ever had.
I had a
refusal.
I got a couple of them.
I've never had a refusal at that point. and I was really surprised, so.
And if you read the Duncannon record, there was an article in there.
Yeah, what's that? I don't
That was,
understand that.
and I think if I read the article correctly, there's only $200,000 going to the county this year to be divided among everybody that's, you know, whoever they see fit.
That's not counting our big one that we're trying to get through.
That's correct.
Okay?
That's correct.
That's not counting the water side, okay? That's just counting the other stuff for,
Yeah, that you've got in the past 2 years.
right, yeah.
No, or even this $500,000 one. This $500,000 grant that we're looking for, or we're trying to get right now, is different.
No.
It's-
Yeah, it is,
Yes,
that's
it
good,
is.
it's different.
It's a different grant than the $200,000
Right.
that the county.
Yes, that's right.
But they still depend on the survey to,
We need the survey to qualify for either one.
If we don't get below a certain level, we ain't gonna get the money, right?
49 some odd percent, 49 point something percent.
That's where we gotta be,
That's target.
And where are we at?
51 point something, I think it was.
I think that's what it was. Yeah, we were only about a point and a half over, I think.
so hopefully, if we get this stuff through with a reasonable amount of no rejections here, hopefully this isn't gonna go away. How many you say you think there is here?
I think there's 23 of them down there, 20 something anyway. But the vacancies, if you can, you know, if you can.
How do we find out? If, you know, we're knocking on doors, there may not even be anybody
That's
there.
correct. And I went to Susie and she gave me a list of the apartments that were vacant.
Well, did you?
And I cross-checked it and took out the ones that matched.
So all those ones that I had were there's people living in those.
Supposedly.
Oh, all right.
Supposedly.
Well, there's one that I can't believe. There's one that's posted all over.
I'll tell you what I did.
That's probably one that Susie can't get rid of yet, and it's in the process, but she can't take it off her roll.
There was times whenever I went up there that there was notices posted on the windows.
Yeah.
There was no drapes, there was no curtains, nothing in there. All right, knock on the door, nobody answered. That's a vacancy.
Okay.
Especially when I'm back the second time and did the same thing, there's nobody there. It's a vacancy. I don't care.
Well, when I lived up there, you weren't gonna find me, because I was over there other than to
Yeah.
go to bed. After dark, I never come by.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Ownership of the grinder pumps. We already do that, right?
It's there.
No,
Take
that's a
look.
different one.
That's a different one. The ownership of grinder pumps.
That's a different one. That's one that we had tabled up there for a long time. How long do we want to continue to maintain and own these grinder pumps?
The residential.
The residential ones. I put up a figure, whenever I first brought this to the authority, I put up a figure of how much, what it was costing us per year to maintain these. And we could lower rates if we give the pumps back to the property owner, give the pumps to the property owner, we could lower our rates across the board. I forget exactly how much it was.
Yeah, it wasn't $5, but it was a couple bucks. It was like $3 if I'm not mistaken, wasn't it?
Yes. So do we want to let this one here, or do we want to take it off?
I don't know. I think we ought to consider giving them back to them. The only problem I got is we still have people that's gotta pay for their financing structure. That's not gonna go away.
20 years.
20 years.
We-
And we're,
we-
what, 10 years of it now?
We agreed to be a bank for 20 years,
That hurt.
and we are losing our tail.
That was it was in 2006.
2006.
So you're
we
only
got
at 8 years.
8 years. Wow. Yeah. Unused purchase of EDUs. We got letters, and we did repurchase 2 EDUs from Big B Boats. But now, this goes back up to item number 3 on the agenda. Depends on where that gentleman wants to put that. If it's in that area down there, we don't have it, we don't have capacity for it. One other thing.
Or we do, and they gotta pay for the improvements.
Yeah, most definitely, yes.
You're talking about the brewery. No.
A microbrewery, yeah, if he wants to come in, he's got we don't have.
How much water are they gonna use?
I think they said something like 4 EDUs. And we only have 2 to sell, depends on where he's at.
He's between the Big B and Cove Center.
Tell you what's hurting us.
He said in the area of barracks.
What really hurts us down there is there is EDUs in that system that have been purchased by businesses, and they are not being used. There should be some way that we can either make them new, we reclaim them, or what we gotta do. I know we did put something in effect whenever Mr. Morrison bought his. It gave him a 10-year span to get rid of, to use them. If he doesn't use them, they come back to us. These.
Can you get a list of them? I can take a look at it and see what.
But these things, were these guys grandfathered in back then, or that they get a chance to set on these? I mean, there's one particular place down there, it's 1, 2, 3 buildings in there, and I think they got a total of 5 or 6 EDUs that they're not even using.
Huh?
Yes. You told me that just a while ago. Oak World, the auction, and the business.
Okay.
And the storage shed that's back there.
And they have not responded to requests to.
They
No.
did.
No.
Yeah, they did, it's in that envelope. Or,
And-
yeah, in
Oh,
that
did some
folder,
of them?
and They do not wanna sell them.
Oh, okay.
Oh, did Fenton come back in? Okay, I didn't know that.
Can you get me a list maybe?
What are you, okay, I'm sorry.
I mean, I
You're
can
asking,
see-
yeah, you need to ask,
I mean, a good
what is it that you
example of-
need?
Oak World would be a valuable impact.
You want a list of how many EDUs are right down
Well,
there?
the ones that we would
Yeah.
like to.
You know, and I would
Yeah.
understand why they don't want to get rid of them,
Right.
okay? I see a
I got it.
reasoning behind it too.
But look how many
Yeah.
sheets are sitting on.
Yeah, it's the same. Sheets is the same thing. They got, they were, whenever they put that car wash in there, they were using all kinds of EDUs, and we made them buy and buy and buy and buy and
Yeah.
buy. Then they finally got smart,
Yeah.
and they took care of their ED, or their
Is there any
waste
way we can
problem.
get some of them back?
That's what I'm gonna look at.
And then, they took care of their waste problem, and now they don't need them, but they're sitting on them and they won't give them up.
Was there,
All right,
was
Dennis-
there letter sent to them about buying them back?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you ever get a response?
No. I even sent a stamped envelope
Okay,
the second time, because you asked me to send a second letter.
Dennis is gonna look into that, okay? Market Street Bridge, I think that was addressed. Okay, maintenance agreement for joint use sewer lateral.
We got one of those signed and back, Mr.
That was in your hands
Oh,
then.
and that's.
Mr. Owen has not gotten back to
No,
us.
and that's.
And those other issues you had, did you get a
yes.
chance to look at it?
That's what I want to discuss in executive session.
Okay. Ordinance regarding wellhead protection,
No, that's still with Ed.
that's still with Ed, okay? And you already discussed schoolhouse,
Yes.
I&I, okay,
Yes.
pumping and attaching septic systems.
Now, I was asked, I got a phone call the other day from a gentleman down there who said that he was instructed to call us whenever he had them pumped out. And I said, who told you to do, he said, the township secretary told him to let us know. He told me that he had two tanks pumped out and he can't find a third one. And I'm thinking to myself, where in the world is it? That lot's not that big, you know? I can't see him having 3 of them on there anyway, but he did. They pumped them out, supposedly they are abandoned, but that once again, that's not our inspection. That's a township or a UCC inspection, so I don't know where we're at with that.
And from what I understood from last Wednesday night, that was not pumped out. And I did not hear about 3 of them,
Susan.
only 1.
Can we have Karen send a letter to the township asking them the status of this property with the tanks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Are you talking about number 8?
Yes. And I know that's gonna come back to us.
We gotta come up with a better communication system with the township. We're starting to find out that neither side's, I don't know how to do it. Do they get a copy of our minutes?
After they're approved.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. All 3 supervisors plus 1 for their file. Which,
After they're approved?
mhm.
Okay.
But They also get a copy of the, Brian Peters comes in and gets a copy of the disc from this,
Okay.
okay, before they're approved, because that's something that they have the right to have, so.
Would it be a benefit to us if we gave them a copy of the draft? That way they could see them sooner, because they're a whole month out by the time of the approval.
Can we do that?
Well, yeah, we have to be able to, because you told me to give this, that when they request to see, when that citizens group wants the CD of this.
I mean, we can stamp it draft only, okay? Unapproved minutes, whatever, okay? Give it to them, that way they can read it, and they're privy to what's going on before their meeting. Right now, they're not getting no information from us, because till we approve it, it's after their meeting, and then it's a 2-month window, everything's overlapped, it's not working.
Yeah, just stamp a draft and that's.
Okay, I hate to make more paperwork, but somewhere along the line, we gotta come up with a way that we keep them informed. And hopefully, maybe we can get it returned back to us as a favor, you know what I'm saying?
It's up at 2 months.
It's a 2-month crossover.
Yeah.
And there's so much missed. I mean, you're missing so much information between the two of us, and maybe we need to communicate. Now, let me see what I can't do. I'll call Helen. See what I can't do. Maybe I can get them to send us a draft of theirs too. You know what I'm saying? We only need one for in the office. You know what I'm saying? If something catches somebody's attention, question it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because we don't know what they're thinking or where they're heading either. I mean, it's a communication issue. And it's all because of the legality of waiting until they're approved. Well,
There aren't too many things usually though here, I mean, this is one right here, obviously, that does apply to them, but when you look at the stuff you talk about today,
Right.
except for Morrison. But yes,
I mean, I think it'd be valuable if we could.
when I send you guys one, I can send them one and just put it's a draft and it's been, all the corrections haven't been made.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Long-range project plans. See, they got that.
I have 2 notes on the
Yes,
bottom of that.
and I see that, and I'll take full responsibility for the one. Of course, me and Ed ain't talked about it much either, but I need to address that. I can build the stuff and have it ready to change over. There is some stuff already on site. I would like to get that bigger blower in place for that.
I can insulate the other half of that roof, but I need another set of hands.
How long is it gonna take?
Shouldn't take too long, it's only probably about 4 pieces of insulation we need to go up there.
Give me a call. If you wanna stop in on the way home from work or something sometime, I can do that. You meet me down there, Sam? Okay?
Yeah.
Upgrade to Sunshine Hill, I think that budget keeps, hopefully that's done before that, but, well, it won't be done because we got all the main upgrades to keep on trucking with, so that's where that money's all gonna be going. I keep thinking, wow, if the treatment plant's done, we won't have enough. Nah, that's not the case. More there, okay? I got a price, replacement of galvanized piping at Lower Duncannon Pump Station and Middle School Pump Station. They have not been done, right? Okay, we've had money budgeted for it last year, didn't have nothing this year. I mean, there's really no reason why we probably ought to schedule them in. Talk to Lanker and see what we can't do.
I'll get a price from Lanker and see what I can do.
Can you
Just
do
a,
that?
just a Lower Duncannon one. We'll do one this year, one next year.
Yep, I'd like to keep them. Yep. I mean, if we need to get Lower Duncannon done, because if we decide to make any improvements and change this piping on the upper end, we want to make sure we got a good system to be sending it out in. You know what I'm saying, Sam? And that's something that we might want to start thinking about budgeting for too, in the future. Is change around up here once we get this bridge done and hooking into that. It opens up the ADUs coming down from business campus. Figure out a budget cost for that roughly. You know what I'm saying? That way we can force everything from down there over across the new line. The only thing that's gonna change is we're actually not gonna change capacities until we turn around and change the manhole line from that manhole down to Water Street. Cause the capacity in that line's probably still questionable. But it's going to be a lot shorter line.
And we still have we have $100,000 budgeted for that, number 7.
Oh, okay, we're good shape. Okay, well, we spent 30 of it already. Going across the bridge. Am I correct? 35.
I think so, yeah.
We have what budgeted? I'm sorry.
Number 7.
For line number 7 down by your fingers, it's not in there, Susan, but it's on our long-range plans is what I'm
Okay,
saying.
all right, I'm with
Okay.
you.
Maybe we don't have it budgeted, but maybe we need to be considering that when we do budget time. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
Let's do it that way. I apologize for the way I said that, Susan, okay?
Because I'm thinking, geez, we screwed up our budget this year. Okay,
I mean, we could send the project reserve budget off the Richter scale if we really had to. That's odor control, we're pretty good shape with it, am I correct?
Yeah, we are, but we're gonna have to put at least one other one in there.
Going to put one down
One
at the
other
pump
what,
station.
building?
Another odor control thing in there.
Building, another building?
Well, I don't know. We're gonna have to put a place to introduce that stuff to it, because of the fact that we're getting that from the new low pressure extension that comes down from Decoven. That's what I was talking about, the odors.
We can't address that until we end up figuring out what happens to
No,
wards.
we're gonna have to figure out something to do there too. And do we want to add the odor control chemicals at the Cove pump station? Which is that's a piece of cake to do that. It's just just a matter of getting a pump and getting things squared away to do that.
It probably should be dumped in up at Decoven.
That's what I'm thinking, let it run the line.
You see what I'm saying?
I agree with you to begin with. Whenever we actually get that section, but
For now, it's a little tough to do
Yeah.
anything.
yeah. Yeah, I'd say we should put it in at least up there. That's another thing we want to talk about too. If and when that comes online, that brick building he has set in there would be ideal for that.
I was just,
Yeah. So, I mean, we need to hear what he has to say about it first.
yeah, I mean, the design and his plan and everything else, yes, but I mean, I agree with you on that. If not, then we gotta buy another portable shed and put it in.
Yeah, yeah, it's already there, if we can get it.
Right. Okay? But yeah, that's something that we need to keep in the back of our minds for that, okay? Anything else on that?
I don't think so.
Did we ever purchase manhole liners yet?
No,
That's for next year.
no, we did not.
Okay. All right, give me a,
And we're looking at a whole passel of them, we're gonna have to run around and count the number of manholes we got. We're looking at a truckload.
okay, give me a call, Sam, when you wanna do the other half of that roof,
Okay.
okay? I know it's a little warm yet, but don't let us forget it.
Now's the time to do it, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's not all that.
Okay?
Yeah.
Anything else for old business?
What are we gonna do about that line coming down from, that Duncan thinks leaking? What are we got a game plan? From the.
Oh, from JOAC? The only thing I can think of is just going up there and lift the manholes and see whether we can see any fresh water running through there.
Oh, all right.
All right?
The ones up through the grass.
Yeah, no, I did find a couple years ago, there was one right down over the hill, right at the end of, what's the name of that street down there?
Valley?
No, yeah, well, it's upstream from Valley, on the opposite side of the creek. You got one on either side of the stream there. There was one there, and the next one was up in the meadow that we had that one That one was taken care of. What they do is, I don't know who we'd have to get this time, but we got jet vac before they come in, and they shot some kind of liquid down there that looked like a milk. And that just, it sealed that up slicker than anything. I have no idea what it was.
From the outside or from?
They just did it from the outside, took a big drill and then pumped it in. You could actually, this is really something, because you could actually see it. Fresh water's coming in, shoot, it looked like a little fountain. It come in, and then it would get white, and then it would just die down. And the leak stopped.
So you think it's surface water coming?
I think, well, it could very well be. I don't know for sure. Could very well be.
Man,
Yes.
they sell a good product on television. You can seal the bottom of boats with it.
Yeah, keep that in mind, Bob.
All right, is there anything else for old business? Okay, new business is Norm Curlin property. Have not heard anything about that.
I got a phone call from Act One. They want to know
About
about
how long ago?
It was last month.
They never got back yet.
No. And I told him, I told him where the point of connection would be, and that would, their point of connection is down in front of Norm's.
Yep.
And they'd have to run the whole distance and do a stream crossing. Now, I have no idea what's going on with that anyway now, you know? And that's another case of, do we have, even if they do that, do we have capacity for it?
I mean, if it's one EDU, that's one thing. If it's massive amounts of it, well, then that's another. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't,
Who gets this stuff here? You want to take it or what? We give it to her.
I get the inspection reports.
The other thing is, Dennis, if there's anything that you think that we need to know, please keep us informed. Okay? I'd like to try to get everybody knowledgeable as much stuff as possible so we don't get blindsided when we come to the meetings, so we can make our decisions at this meeting instead of, or address, excuse me, address the concerns with you before the meeting occurs. That way we have an idea that we can kind of make a good decision. Okay, I realize everybody gets lax. I'm just as guilty as anybody else, stumbling around after the JOAC meeting's done. Another week goes by, I'll get it next week. I'll get, and oh my gosh, I got 2 days before the meeting and stuff like that. I've tried to get email communications with you and Randy, either by Friday or Monday morning, so you kind of highlight me so I'm not blindsided, you know what I'm saying? It's something that,
We'll get better at it.
okay, it's you know, you fight it at every time. I fight it at work until you get struggling around, and by the time you get it figured out, the job's done, you know what I'm saying?
it's now 9:35.
Yes.
Dennis wants to go executive session. We better do it.
It'll just take a couple minutes.
Okay, are we ready for executive session?
You can actually adjourn if you want to. You're not gonna need to take action afterward.
All right.
And just make a note in the minutes that the board convened an executive session after the meeting to discuss a legal matter. And you can adjourn.
Okay, do I hear a motion adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second? Been regularly moved and seconded. All those in favor give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
There will be an executive session afterwards. No action will be taken.
This one.
Have a good evening.
Yes.
See ya.